Hey there, everybody. Hopefully you're having a good weekend. Let's get chat going here. Boom. There we go. We can see chat and everything. So I see people talking about Sweet Baby Inc. I want to talk about that for a second. I don't think that their involvement automatically, like, you're up to make your own decisions, right? But I see people talking about it immediately. It's the first thing I see in stream. And the thing that I keep going back to is I'm pretty sure Sweet Baby Inc. has also been involved with a lot of fantastic games. So this idea that anything that they touch is bad, I don't think it's... You can hear the kiddos, huh? Yeah, Daniel's doing his thing. I don't think it's accurate, for lack of a better term. I love God of War Ragnarok, so I don't know what you're talking about. And it's sold really well, and it's really good. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say that people are going to like about Sweet Baby Inc. So, yeah. But I do see the comments about it. But yeah, I saw all the stories about what's going on with the company, and you know, a lot of people talked about Suicide Squad. One of the devs came out and said like everything was already written for Suicide Squad before they were even involved. So yeah, it's just kind of like they're a really easy target for people. And I think if you actually look at the entirety of their contributions, I don't know that you can pin anything that you're not happy with on them. Like there's no definitive proof of it. So it's just kind of like a really easy target that everybody's sort of dunking on. I don't know enough about the company. I haven't super jumped into that topic or anything like that. Everybody for some reason is talking about that the very first thing on the stream. Like 2 of the projects that they're involved with are Ragnarok and Alan Wake 2, Game of the Year contenders. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know enough about that topic, so I'm not even going to talk about it. Like, I'm just be another idiot online saying a bunch of random stuff. What? Why are console exclusives anti-consumer? Because you're forced to buy a $500 box and able to play those content exclusives. I mean, in an ideal world, everything would be available wherever you want to play it, right? The ease of access would be there. At the end of the day, console exclusives, you know who they benefit? The console manufacturer. That's who they benefit. So, yeah. Susano says, need emotions to calm down before a conversation can be had. I mean, it's very clear that everybody's going to be mad about that topic. I didn't plan on talking about that. I never plan on talking about that. So, yeah. I haven't done research to come to some sort of conclusion about how I feel about Sweet Baby Inc., but I know they've worked on 3 games that I think are phenomenal. So it's a little hard to definitively say anything too negative when that's the case. Let's talk about some of the news I have today. So I kind of wanted to talk about some of the stuff that happened this last week. You know, we talked about EA. We talked about the layoffs at Sony earlier in the year. We talked about the layoffs at Microsoft, the 1,900 Microsoft. You know, PlayStation announced 900 layoffs, but you have to remember that they also had 100 layoffs back in October at Bungie, which, while it's separate, it's still part of the same. So, like, I have to imagine that both companies ended up laying off about 8.5% of their staff. I got to pause the music now. My content constantly gets my old content constantly gets flagged for stuff that I have the rights to. and or like had the rights to at the time. So that's Stream Beats by Harris Heller, and I believe it's okay to use it. But I don't want to like put music in any of my, you know why I don't put music in any of my stuff? Because they are super aggressive with content flagging. You know who else is super aggressive? Paramount, which is why I don't react to any of the Halo stuff. It's like, you want to make less people talk about your thing, flag them for reacting to your trailer. Rockstar does it, so I have to use stills for all Rockstar stuff. You get flagged for reacting to the Halo TV show for anything. It's absolutely ridiculous. You want to kill buzz around your well, Rockstar doesn't need it, right? But you want to kill buzz around your product, just copyright flag everything that happens about your product. It's so dumb, especially when the Halo TV show needs good press and I wanted to talk about the positives and the negatives about it. Like, it's nuts. So yeah. I know musicians that had their own music flagged. It's sadly an old issue here. Yeah, and my channel, it's like, it's not a small channel. Maybe I should reach out to YouTube. I'll be like, hey, look, I had rights to use this music. The rights expired, and now I'm getting copyright flagged for these streams that I did 5 years ago. Like, just, I think I went through and I just deleted all the VODs. Drop your own beats. I really like Stream Beats, actually. It's like a super chill background loop. And I don't particularly like music in my content, though. I feel like it makes it more conversational. Sorry for getting started late. You're probably tired of hearing it. I've been sick for like 3 weeks. It sucks. I'm finally like feeling more like myself, but every morning I wake up and I'm just like, you know, I don't feel super great right now. Oh, do you want to talk about all the Twitter drama that happened this morning? So I made this tweet yesterday. It's insane that it has kicked up such a storm. So Digital Foundry released a video where they talked about some of, let me see what I have set up currently. Yeah, okay. So we're going to turn on the display effects here. And I'm not complaining. I find it crazy, the reaction to this. I said, amazing Digital Foundry breakdown on input latency for cloud streaming on Xbox versus PlayStation. Xbox, 99 milliseconds. PlayStation, 137 milliseconds. Now, I have done my own testing about the PlayStation platform, and I believe it's because the controller, it has a very high input latency to your television. I did it for the Ninja Turtles collection back in the day, right? And Xbox has lower input latency. So I found it interesting that, yet again, Xbox is looking really good in this particular department. However, the Xbox fared a lot worse in the graphical department. So, but PlayStation had much better image quality on cloud versus Xbox. Strangely, Xbox is using Xbox Series S hardware for cloud. Now, some clarity on that. The way I phrased it isn't, people are saying it's not correct. The Digital Foundry video talks about how the Xbox performance matches a Xbox Series S console running locally. So in terms of visual quality and everything, they go into more detail in the video, but like, people were mad because of the way I phrased those words together. And it's just like, Digital Foundry went on to explain how the server blades work. And yeah, they're using Series X blades, but in this instance, it matches Series S hardware performance because like the chips. Go watch the Digital Foundry video. That's the crazy thing. It's so frustrating. You think I'm going to break down how long is the freaking video? How long is the Digital Foundry video? It's 20 minutes. I'm just tweeting to say, I like this video. I found it super interesting. Highly recommend this one for viewing. Everybody lost it. This was the tweet that I'm in hot water about today. Pranked. Thank you for the $5 US. What do you think is the future of Halo? Let me get the chat up over here. Do you think the next game, oh, I lost it. Do you think the next 343 will develop the next game after Halo Infinite flopped at launch with updates? I think there will be more Halo. I mean, to answer your question quickly, I do think there will be more Halo. So let's see the react chat. All right. Give me a 1 in chat if you think this is a fairly harmless tweet. Give me a 2 in chat if you think this is a terrible tweet where I'm content farming and I'm engaging people. Which one do you think it is? Is this fairly harmless? It's just me like saying, hey, I thought this video was cool. Or do you think this is one of the worst tweets I have ever made? So those are your options. Worst tweet ever made, or I'm content farming and I'm an idiot and I'm clearly trying to mislead people. Those are your options. I'll give you a guess which one Twitter thought it was. You get a 9. 1 for harmless, 2 for the worst thing I've ever tweeted. Yeah, okay. Thank you, sane people here in chat. Okay. Well, y'all are wrong. It wasn't harmless. This is the most damaging tweet I have ever made to the industry. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the replies. So let's see the quotes. This is why I've little professional respect for some social media personalities. This is either ignorance / lack of subject understanding or evidence of engagement farming. No mention / reference to the distance from the server / edge pop-up in terms of Microsoft delay. Hashtag credibility. Toilet emoji. The resident Xbox shill decided to focus on the wrong thing, as you'd expect from someone who thinks they've played Death Stranding on Xbox. Both services are about plus 45, a lower latency, to 55 seconds, slower than local. That's the important figure, not the one based on the game. Yes, Xbox had lower latency on their cloud streaming. That input latency wasn't just for one game. It's most games. The PS5 had better input latency, little bro. That wasn't a breakdown of cloud latency at all. They spent most of the video talking about image quality. Yes, the second half they talk about input latency. Series S SKU is the baseline for xCloud. No wonder it's so... Okay, well, that's because I didn't explain in a paragraph about how the server blade is a Series X, but the whatever they said in the Digital Foundry video. Yeah, so those are the responses I got to that post. Oh yeah, so I saw this early on. Wait, I thought it was using Series X hardware, but playing Series S software. It matches Series S hardware performance, I mean. So like I was trying to clarify, and then I just gave up on this whole thread because I'm like, this is not worth my problem anymore. What else do I have here? I don't know. Most of these responses are like, latency is most important in cloud gaming, in my opinion. I agree. Wow, because we all know image quality is way more important than fast response time when gaming. Xbox lagging behind, PS4 for the win, image quality over performance. Okay. How is it really cloud streaming if like the reaction was insane? So then it went further from there because everybody was mad. I said, yet again, I've managed to make both PlayStation and Xbox fans furious with one tweet about a video I liked. I've earned my $4.39 from Elon this. That's a joke. I subscribed to Twitter Blue and I just wanted to try it out. I didn't want to change any habits. I'm not like trying to make money off of Twitter. And let me see if I can bring it up without like bringing up my personal email or something like that. I'll show you how much I made from my last Twitter payment really quick. Like these people act like I'm buying a yacht or something like that. Here, I took a screenshot of it. Here's how insane the payments are. Hi, Destin Legary, $21.19 has been deposited into your account from X ad revenue sharing. Thank you for creating on X monetization. I got y'all. I'm rich. I'm rich, everybody. Paying off the house this month with my $21.19. So I did the math. That's the payment for, I believe it's 8.9 million impressions. Or let me see if I can dig up Twitter analytics. Analytics.twitter. Yeah. So that's 8.94 million impressions over the last 24 days. Do you know how much I would make on YouTube for 8.94 million views? I made $20. And like, I swear to you, I am just posting the same dumb shit I have always posted on Twitter. My first tweets, I believe my original account was Daily Destin, and then you were able to like migrate it to another account. Anyway, my first tweets were toilet jokes because I was making fun of my friend for being on Twitter, and then ironically, I got addicted to it. But anyway, I have not changed my Twitter habits at all. I tweeted about the layoffs and like how I felt about the layoffs. I tweet dumb gameplay clips. Like, I use it to show that I'm a human being. I'm not doing reviews on Twitter. Like, when I post a tweet, I'm not reviewing something. Like, I'm not doing a special report that's not going to be on Twitter. Like, the way that people interact with social media is so bizarre to me. It's so bizarre. So at least you're making enough to cover your sub and sub. Yeah. So I paid for the year. 1 year is, I want to say it was $80, right? Because it's $8 a month. So I paid for the year and it's $80, and it has paid for itself. That's sort of what I was more curious about than anything. I was like, okay, I'm not going to change any of my Twitter habits. I'm just going to be the same dumb idiot I always have been. And I'm just going to post whatever. And yeah, I mean, like it sort of covers the cost. But part of that is because I have 91,000 followers or some larger number than expected. I promise you. And like a bunch of, if this gets clipped out, they're not going to believe me anyway. So I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, right? I'm doing the same thing I've always done. I put no effort into my Twitter. As a matter of fact, I think I'm on there too much. I know that. Like, I have a little bit of a problem. But I think I've been posting less on Twitter overall. So, like, yeah, this idea that, like, I'm going to get rich by posting... No. I don't post enough video. Video would probably monetize me higher. I don't promote my YouTube on Twitter. I don't promote anything on Twitter. I never promote my personal stuff. I will promote my IGN stuff. So like, yeah. So the tweet that they say I'm like content farming or whatever with, I think I did the math and I think it's like worth 5 cents. Or maybe it was 50 cents. So let me see. So if it's $20 for 8.9 million impressions, can somebody break it down for me? So I'm sorry. So this tweet got like 250,000 views, right? So 250,000 impressions. If I get paid $20 for 8.9 million, what is my profit margin on this tweet that got 250,000 impressions? I think it's 56 cents, right? Is that right? So anyway, the internet's insane is my point. The idea that $1 trillion. So what I'm really saying is I'm buying Tencent. Thank you everybody for all of your support over the years. I really appreciate it. This exchange was so funny. And I got really into it with these people because I'm like, look, oh yeah. And then I made this, I thought this was kind of funny. If I'm reporting facts, it will be in the full report that I link to. Like if I'm reporting something for IGN, it will be on IGN, not on a social media account where I post gameplay clips, jokes, and complain about Suicide Squad. Like when I do reports, and the other thing that drives me crazy is there's a thing called having an opinion. And sometimes I have an opinion. And it's not a news report. What is with people? There's this super, like, yeah. Anyway. So, this isn't the first time this happens all the time. And it's so crazy to me. People just like don't like my opinion or they want me to change my take. And I'm just like, no. And I'm never going to. I'm never going to change drastically. I think I've changed some of my content stylings. Like, I think I go back and watch old hard news episodes. I still have them somewhere on my computer. Destin, it's worse than just an opinion. It's a different opinion. Yeah, right. Oh man. Let me see if I can find. I probably shouldn't watch these live because they're terrible. And they're also like a little embarrassing. Yeah, I'll save that for another one. But yeah, old hard news episodes are not good. But I'm glad so many of you enjoyed them over the years. Like that was the best thing to hear that people enjoyed that show back in the day. Anyway, where was I? We were going to talk about some of the news. I wanted to talk about all of the games that have been canceled. So, real quick, let's talk about all the games that have been canceled, including the Microsoft games that were canceled. The first one that I noticed was this one. It was the unannounced survival game from Blizzard. And we have a few details. I've collected a few stories about this particular cancellation. Well, this is from The Verge. Well, few details, including a name, were revealed for the survival game. It was notable as a rare new franchise from Blizzard, which primarily focuses on its core brands of Diablo, Warcraft, Overwatch, and StarCraft. I think one of the most concerning aspects of everything that has transpired over the last several weeks and starting in 2013 and 2014 is these companies are going to become incredibly risk averse. They're just not going to take big bets on things anymore. And that's the worst part of it all, in my opinion. I'm of two minds of it because on the one hand, Rocksteady with Suicide Squad, I think that doesn't make sense. That's an instance where I think an executive should have said, hey, that's not a good idea. You make Batman games. Maybe you should stick to Batman games and that style of content, right? Let's not do a live service looter shooter. So if it was Rocksteady leadership that wanted to do that and the executives let them, I think that's an instance where maybe it was just a bad pitch. I don't know. Separately, if it was executives telling Rocksteady that they have to make it live service looter shooter, then that was also the wrong call. So here it comes, and it kind of just fails everybody. Like, look, if you loved Suicide Squad and you're one of the 500 people currently playing it every day, at least on Steam, that's what we're seeing on Steam charts, then they failed you because the game's not going to get a lot of support because it didn't resonate with a larger audience. If you're somebody that wanted another Rocksteady game, they failed you because they just drastically pivoted to this very, very different approach from what they've done in the past. And if you're an executive, they failed the executives because it's not going to make any money. They're going to lose money on Suicide Squad. Absolutely. So they failed in every way they possibly could have. If you think about it from that perspective, they failed the people that like the game. They failed the people who obviously don't like the game. They failed the workers because the workers are going to be impacted by the failure. And they failed the people that own the company and manage the company because they're going to lose a lot of money on it. And unfortunately, the scary thing is that layoffs could happen because of it. I don't want that to happen, but the AAA industry has made some spectacularly terrible bets in the last several years. And it's just terrible to see. Skull and Bones is the other example. The first quadruple A game ever made. Skull and Bones has been very problematic. So anyway, getting back to the topic at hand though. So the unannounced survival game canceled. Some more details about it. This is from Game Informer. The team behind this game, which Bloomberg says was called Odyssey, switched to Synapse, an in-house engine Blizzard originally developed for mobile games and envisioned as something that would be shared across many of its projects. So they had to switch engines. Blizzard was reportedly looking to expand the Odyssey team in an effort to target a 2026 release year for the survival game, but Bloomberg reports even that seemed overly optimistic to some developers, and now, as we officially know, development has concluded and the once exciting Blizzard game canceled. That was at the beginning of the year. So that's one that we know of. Justin Earl says, just doubled your Twitter income. Thank you, Justin. Engagement farming is working. Thank you, Justin. You doubled that income. I got to figure out how to make it so I get like a notification with the super chats, because I'm trying to use the built-in thing and it just doesn't do a good job at notifying me. So I am going to go to my own channel and I'm going to open it up so I can actually see them when they pop up. I can pop out chat. Doesn't do a good job at notifying me. So sorry for the double up there. I was editing my own VODs yesterday and yeah. There we go. So if I get a super chat, I wish I have a lot to figure out with this whole streaming thing that I'm trying out, but yeah. Now I'll see if there's a super chat at least. An OBS plugin. I just wanted to notify me. Yeah. Anyway, I've been figuring. So like I figured out chat last week. Give me a break. I'll figure out the rest of it. Let's get back to the story at hand. I'm going to do a little log here so I can edit that out. Yeah, like now I have logs so I can just press a button and it does time codes. So I know when my clips are. And the longer term goal is to hire an editor, but YouTube revenue is in the frickin' toilet right now. So yeah, I don't think that's happening anytime soon, but I'm going to keep at it. They say that if you keep at it, that's the best chance that you have to succeed. So anyway, the first game that we're talking about is this unannounced survival game. Unannounced survival game, gone. Because AAA Gaming is in trouble. The costs are way too freaking high. The monetization strategies are not being well received by the community. The games that are coming out, well, there's often phenomenal games. There's too many failures. And these companies, even when they're successful, are suffering because of it. Insomniac, the crown jewel of PlayStation, suffered layoffs. So did Naughty Dog. That makes no sense. Is it just like, well, let's be fair. Let's just fire everybody from different divisions. So you make a good game. And this was a meme, right? You make a good game, you get fired. You make a bad game, you get fired. Like there's no winning. There's no winning in this situation. Next up, on the PlayStation side, fast forwarding to this last week, PlayStation announced that Firesprite's Twisted Metal game is among canceled PlayStation products. So, check this out. A Twisted Metal project was reportedly in the works at Firesprite, according to Bloomberg. It's now been canceled as part of the 900-person layoff, Sony announced later today. The PlayStation maker revealed several projects will be scrapped as part of its reductions. Per Jason Schreier, the Twisted Metal game was in early development and not even greenlit before its end. We almost got a new Twisted Metal game, y'all. They almost brought back a franchise that a lot of people wanted. Now, I will say this about Twisted Metal. I think it's cool. I think the TV show is very interesting. I don't know that there's a modern audience for Twisted Metal. I'd be curious to hear what chat thought about that. But yeah, you are a week late on the news. Sunday is the hangout and talk about the news of the weekday. So yeah, if I'm a week late, then I'm right on time. Oh my God. Why does everybody want to talk about Sweet Baby? I said my thoughts at the beginning. Go rewind the stream. I said, I think they are being used as a catch-all for every criticism for the game industry. Something along those lines. But anyway, go check out that part. And I don't know enough about the company. Like, I don't know. I'm not just going to dogpile on a company. I have to read about the criticisms of the Sweet Baby news. What else we got here? So, open world survival game, Twisted Metal. And the big one is the first person shooter Mandalorian game that was in the works at Respawn. Now, there have been rumors that Xbox is also developing a Mandalorian game, and we'll see what that means. It's okay, Mysterious, no worries. But like, everybody's asking me about my take on the Sweet Baby thing. I'm like, I have no idea. So anyway, what could have been? Details on Respawn's canceled Mandalorian Star Wars game has been a big topic that everybody has been discussing. It's been just 2 weeks since Insider Gaming reported on the first details of Respawn Entertainment's first-person Star Wars Mandalorian game, but just yesterday, the game was officially canceled by EA. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that EA also laid off about, I think their percentage was like 6%, so it wasn't 8% like everywhere else. And it's really, really unfortunate that this happened. First, it should be said that by all accounts, this game was fantastic, and that isn't just coming from the developers, but from everybody who had the opportunity to play the game. Feedback from playtest was always positive and surrounded by buzz, with the developers enjoying the entire process of working on the project. That being said, for whatever reason, EA felt like the game was too much of a financial risk and has decided to pull the plug. EA has had a really strong track record, and within EA, you know who's had an especially strong track record? Respawn. Giving Respawn Star Wars has resulted in a tremendous amount of profit for Jedi Survivor. So why would EA do that? Of all the projects that they're going to cancel, why would you cancel the one that the team who is making the most successful game ever is working on? Clay in chat says Disney takes their cut. It's a possibility. As previously reported, the game was set to be based on a Mandalorian bounty hunter, not believed to be the Mandalorian, that would see the player search for bounties across the galaxy. The game started with the Den, which was the player's base of operations that contained your ship, a map of the galaxy, an upgrade station, an armory, and more. It's understood that it would be here where you would select which bounties you'd want to pursue. The player could then equip the weapons they wanted, upgrade their armor, and then go into the ship and land on the planet where the bounty is located. So it sounds like a Destiny style game. And it sounds like, to me, that was a lot of fun. It would have been a lot of fun. It also goes on to say the main enemies were stormtroopers who would patrol most maps as you try and complete your bounty. So you'll be killing a bunch of stormtroopers. That sounds great. I'm not going to read the full thing. Go check out Insider Gaming to read the full report. But that sounds awesome to me. I don't know. So that's another loss. We should also talk about... Now, did I miss anything? Have I missed any games that have been canceled just in 2024? Because those are 3 games. New game from Blizzard, new IP, Mandalorian game, Twisted Metal game, all gone. Those games are not going to see the light of day. Let me know if I missed any. I'm trying to find one other input here. I'm tired of sneezing and stuff on stream. Sorry, buddy. Last of Us multiplayer was last year, though. What happened to State of Decay 3? We don't know that that's been canceled at all. I hear rumors that Marvel is trying to buy back Spider-Man. As far as we know, EA clarified that the games of impacted aren't like Amy Hennig's game and some of the other projects in the works. Time Splitters. That's right. Let me find a story about it. That was from December. It's like if I type Time Splitters, I get all this stuff. I can zoom in, but like the canceled Time Splitters game. So that was from January. So that would have been 2023 news. I was trying to focus on 2024. Deus Ex, thank you, chat. Embracer, forgot about Embracer in the layoffs. We'll go Kotaku. New Deus Ex game reportedly canceled by that gaming company. And by that, they're talking about Embracer Group. Embattled gaming company Embracer Group has canceled an in-development Deus Ex game that Eidos Montreal was working on, according to a new report from Bloomberg. You know what game Embracer was also involved with because of all the sales and everything? You know where I'm going with this, don't you? Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark was also in the hands of Crystal Dynamics, right? And they're owned by Embracer Group. I think that I think the Perfect Dark game is doomed. I think it just got delayed 10 more years. Like, if there's one Xbox game that I'm worried about, it would be that one. It's going good, Brett. Good to see you. How long is Destin going today? Usually I go until 1:30, so at least another hour, but I started late because I'm still sick. When you have kids, you're just perpetually sick a little bit. Just make a proper remake of the original. I don't know. Let's keep going on here with the cancellations. The cancellation comes not long after the Swedish conglomerate snatched up a bunch of publishers and studios, failed to secure a $2 billion deal, and subsequently laid off nearly 5% of its workforce. And according to Bloomberg, more layoffs could be hitting Eidos in the wake of the Deus Ex game cancellation. I am dead serious. Who do I need to email at Embracer Group to buy Legacy of Kain? How much do you think Legacy of Kain costs? Because they still have that IP. I want to buy it. Give it to me. I will figure out how to do something with that property. I will find investors. Here's my crazy plan. I would I would re-release the originals with modern controls and 4K graphics. You know why I would do that? Because fans have already done that. There's already a fan modding community out there that have done that. I would call them up and I would say, hey, look, I want to do this with Soul Reaver. Can we use your assets? I'll pay you this percentage of the proceeds. Because like, I'm not in it for money or anything. I just want to buy it, recoup whatever that investment is, and then get that game modernized and out into the world. And then the second part of my plan, and it's so easy, right? I'm sure it's super easy. The second part of my plan would be to remake the originals the same way Capcom and the Resident Evil teams did. That's what my crazy destined plan is. I hope somebody's doing that. They're working on it. I did a Legacy of Kain survey from Crystal Dynamics a year ago. I saw that, Phineas. I remember that. Tatanka and Last Ronin was canceled. Last Ronin was canceled? That was 2023. Oh, the Ninja Turtle game. That was 2023. That was last year. Bandai Namco has canceled 5 games. Eidos Montreal is contributing to Xbox's Fable as Embracer closes a recently acquired studio. Oof. Yeah, so I think this is going to have reverberating effects. I think Embracer probably canceled anything that wasn't financially backed by Microsoft. So maybe those games are okay, but who knows? It's definitely a scary time for AAA. One of the things that was unfortunate to read about was that we talked about the Firesprite game that was canceled. Well, we also saw this story where Sony studio Firesprite has been shedding talent amidst accusations of toxic culture, staff say. Death by 1,000 cuts. Sony acquired studio Firesprite has recently suffered high-profile exits amid accusations of a toxic workplace culture, Eurogamer has been told, as part of an investigation into the studio begun ahead of the layoffs announced by Sony this week. Now, real quick, we should read this whole article, because when I read like why everybody was leaving, we don't have a lot of details of specifics. So they're just like, apparently it was bad there. That's what we actually know. The Liverpool-based developer released PSVR 2 launch title Horizon Call of the Mountain last year after being acquired by Sony in 2021, but the impact of crunch for that game's release and changes in the company's senior leadership have subsequently led to discontent within the studio, staff have told Eurogamer, something one source described as death by 1,000 cuts. Most concerning are reports from sources that 2 senior leaders from Sony support studio XDev brought in to help lead Firesprite have since been accused of sexual discrimination and ageism. A subsequent internal investigation by Sony is said to have resulted in the claims being dismissed as misunderstanding. Oh, we investigated ourselves and it's not a big deal, everybody. Don't worry. We looked into ourselves and it turns out we're all good. So don't worry about it. We took the time, we investigated ourselves, and it turns out we're good. No worries. Great. Well, I'm relieved. I don't know about you, chat. I will say this ageism claim, this also was part of the Activision drama because an older Caucasian person filed claims of ageism against Activision Blizzard. Everybody seemed to kind of laugh about that, but this seems to be taken more seriously, which is good. I think it should be taken seriously. I don't think any of that other stuff really matters. If ageism and sexual discrimination is happening, it should be investigated, right? Is a little unfortunate to see the reaction to the yellow one, and I don't really like that. Like, either this is an important topic or it's not, and it is an important topic. It doesn't matter if the guy's Caucasian. It's important, right? So that was my take on it. And it's important here in the Firesprite case. Job cuts at Firesprite were announced earlier this week as part of mass layoffs across Sony Interactive Entertainment. Around 900 SIE employees, equating to 8%, will lose their job, though it's unclear how many at Firesprite are impacted. Bloomberg reported that the studio's live service Twisted Metal project was canceled. So, Ubisoft, tons of drama. PlayStation, at least at Firesprite, is having tons of drama. It's really, really unfortunate. Here's a few more notable phrases, and then maybe we'll move on to another one. Like, honestly, I don't want this whole year to be this channel covering layoffs, because that's how it's starting to pan out, unfortunately. Ahead of these layoffs, sources say an alarming number of employees had left the studio in recent months following a retention bonus payout in October designed to reward staff for remaining at the developer after the Sony acquisition for a further period of time. Good. They got the hell out of there when the getting was good. And it was smart of them. Hey, we just got a huge bonus payout. I'm getting the hell out of here because the writing's on the wall. And you remember in October, that's when one of the leaders at Sony were out and her whole team was out. And they all really liked that person. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Jaffe talked about it. But it's like all that was going on. So yeah, if you had to leave to get the bonus, they made the right call. Part of that was probably also like, it seems like it wasn't a great company to work at. Public employees' reviews of Firesprite on company review site Glassdoor describe horrendous studio heads who are way out of their depth and just care about their money, leading to a toxic bullying culture and culture of fear. One recent review takes a more sympathetic view, though, stating Firesprite's old way was disorganized and Sony has remolded the studio, which has ruffled many feathers. Good. I mean, if the old way was the toxic way and Sony is like, what is happening? Which studio is the Jade Raymond studio? This isn't the Jade Raymond studio, is it? About Us. Well, it's in Liverpool. I've been to Liverpool. It was like one of my first international. I think this is the company that came out on the stage during one of the Jeff Keighley's talks and revealed their projects. So anyway, that one's out.
Still wait.
You know, I think we all need to take a second. There was one thing, and I don't think we've given it enough attention. You know, Herman Hulst and Jim Ryan talked about how hard it was for them to fire 900 people. And, you know, I know it was really hard on Phil Spencer also. And, you know, one of the developers actually put together a little clip, and, you know, I just thought I'd play it really quick because one of the devs wanted to respond and, you know, show their feelings towards, you know, Jim Ryan, Herman Hulst, all these people that are having a really hard time firing 8% of their staff. I think we should all, you know,
Waiting on that heifer, Julio.
Hear what the dev had to say.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.
Yeah, that was from a developer, I think. At least somebody sent that to me on Twitter. I'm pretty sure that was the developer's official response to, you know, Herman Hulst, Jim Ryan, Phil Spencer. Everybody was having a really hard time firing everybody. Pretty sure that was live footage of their reaction to the difficult time that Herman Hulst and Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer are going through. We all really feel for you guys. We're sorry that it's hard on you to fire so many people. In all seriousness, though, like, I think there has been a lot of tone deafness in some of these corporate statements that have been looked at by lawyers. I don't think, I'm going to get called a fanboy for it. I don't recall the Microsoft one saying it's really hard on us to fire all these people. Herman Hulst and Jim Ryan are like talking about how difficult it was for them. And it was really, yeah, it was really weird. Clay says, didn't Herman Hulst post a picture of him surfing and having a good time when these firings were announced? I hope not. I know Jim Ryan visited the London studio 5 days before they closed it and fired everybody, though. Yeah. I just like, I just don't have a lot of positivity right now for these mega corporation people that are looking for sympathy when they took photos with people and then closed the studio and fired everybody. I don't care how they feel about it. And that is so dumb to put in your press release. Anyway, I found this sort of interesting. Last of Us director Neil Druckmann says he doesn't think he has many more big games left in him. Everything has been incredibly stressful since Uncharted 2's release. Now, Neil Druckmann still left, but if you remember, Evan Wells bounced. He got out back in 2013 after 25 years and a tenure running all the way back to Crash Bandicoot 3. Evan Wells is leaving leadership of Naughty Dog. If you've been at one of these big studios, you work on a game for 7 years at least. I think I've seen some games be created in 5. If you made a game and it took you 7 years to make the game and it was successful, like big time success, and you got your bonus is even just like a mid-level employee or whatever, like let's say you got paid very, very well, would you just bounce? One, if you would bounce, like what would you do? You just worked on a game for 10 years. It's a mega success. You have $1 million. Would you keep making games? Or would you bounce? I would probably keep going. But at some point, you would look at your piles of money. And then you would say, yeah, you know what? I'm good. Stunk says, I would take vacation. Yeah, take like a 6 months off or something. Build a small team and go indie. Yeah, you know what? And Unloved, I think I talked about that last week. I think the BioWare story, and Kotaku has been writing some good stuff lately. They said Anthem was a warning sign 5 years ago. And I really, really like that take on it because it was a major studio taking a chance on something new. And it flopped massively. The story was like fine. There was potential with Anthem, but they just gave up on it because it's ridiculously expensive to continue development on it. And then we saw Casey Hudson leave, Aaron Flynn left, and all these people left. And you know what's happened now? 3 different gaming studios popped up since then. Isn't that what David Jaffe did? And then he went nuts. David Jaffe made a ton of money off the God of War franchise. And then, yeah, he went indie. He tried Drawn to Death, I want to say was the game. And then he just sort of stopped. So anytime somebody sticks at it and keeps going, you know those people are passionate about gaming because they have all the money that they could possibly ever need. Ken Levine did it. Casey Hudson did it. Aaron Flynn did it. And there's a few others that have done it. They just said, I'm just going to go indie. And I'm going to make my own studio. And I really, really admire them when they do that. Now, can everybody do that? No, obviously they cannot. Right? But these are people who have dedicated their life to doing this. I've thought about this a lot lately. I'm turning 42 this year, right? And I'm like, if I didn't do this, what would I do? And the answer is, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know if it means talking. I downloaded Unreal and I started an Unreal tutorial. I'm going to mess around, try and make a little game and actually get it released just to learn about it. But every once in a while, I just get like the bug to do something really challenging to say, look, I did it. And right now I keep seeing all these YouTube videos recommended to me of like 1-person developers who release games. And then, yeah, Clay says talking to yourself in a dark room, most likely. I mean, that's kind of what I do, right? Yeah, there's nothing else I want to do with my life. So no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to be doing this in some capacity. I will always talk about the industry. I will always talk about games, why I like them, analyze what's going on, have conversations with people in the community. I have been doing it my entire life. Fresh out of college. No, I think I was in college. I wrote for like, it was like My Gamer or something. And I read some of my old articles. They are insensitive, crass, and terrible. Like they are really bad. Don't go find them because they're terrible. They are absolute garbage. And I'm happy that I've learned a lot from doing disastrous things though. Or just things in poor taste. Because early on Hard News, I would swear all the time. And then eventually what I learned by just like doing that, it's like, you're better than that. You don't need to swear to make your point. And if you do, aren't you being kind of like weak-willed or something like that? Like you're being lazy. You can only make your point by swearing. Now I still get passionate about stuff. There's an article out there that says yelling isn't journalism because of the Baldur's Gate thing. Yuck. Sorry. There's an article out there about the Baldur's Gate 3 thing, and it's like yelling isn't journalism. You're supposed to do all this stuff. So then I'm like, all right, well, I can learn from all the negative Destiny articles that are out there now and try and take that advice to heart and continue doing what I do. But that's all we can really do. We can continue learning and growing, right? Anyway, point is, I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me. Sorry, internet. Oh, I found this interesting. So, you know how we've all been making fun of the PlayStation Portal because it's a strange device? By the way, it's like $199 right now if you still want to get one. Project lead Hiromi Waki explains Sony's goals and why the Portal isn't a Vita 2. The one quote that I found really interesting about this was that it's been successful for them. Although we don't have any numbers to share, the demand has continued to exceed our expectations, PlayStation's VP of Project Management Hiromi Waki recently told me. The Portal is a $200 portable that looks like someone snapped a PS5 controller in half and attached parts of it to opposing sides of an 8-inch screen. I think the Portal is a silly idea, but apparently they never planned on this being anything more than what it is, a device that you play in your house as a second screen on the couch or whatever. There was never a plan to make this a competitor for the Steam Deck or anything, and they've been happy with the results of the project. I was surprised. I was as surprised as you were about this because we all know PSVR 2 hasn't been doing well and support has largely been taken down or minimized for that product. Okay. You edited my video last week over on Fiverr? Or did you DM it to me? Yeah, I've been looking for an editor. I've been looking for somebody to take this stream. I think I found an editor, but yeah. Okay, I didn't get your message. Yeah, so I was looking for like, how do you find an editor? So I looked on Fiverr and I had somebody edit it and it was bad. Like I was like talking about something serious and they tried to make it funny. And I was like, this does not work. Okay, send it to me on Twitter at Destin Legary. I'll check it out. Sorry if I missed it. I was trolling you in the comments, got a whole response for you. All right. Anyway, PlayStation Portal comes along and it turns out it's doing okay. I was surprised too. Let me see something here. Oh, you want to know what really stunk last week? I was live and the video was not monetized. So I was like, well, There goes that. Toys for Bob blog. Toys for Bob, everybody thought they were going to shut it down. Turns out they were actually going to go independent. And they seem excited about it. We're going indie. We're thrilled to announce that Toys for Bob is spinning off as an independent game development studio. Over the years, we've inspired love, joy, and laughter for the inner child in all gamers. We pioneer new IP and hardware technologies. In Skylanders, we raised the bar for best-in-class remasters in Spyro Reignited Trilogy. We've taken Crash Bandicoot to innovative, critically acclaimed new heights. With the same enthusiasm and passion, we believe that now is the time to take the studio and our future games to the next level. This opportunity allows us to return to our roots of being a small and nimble studio. Hot take, I think small and nimble studios are the future of the industry. Helldivers 2 is a 100-person team. We see individuals making whole games that get launched on Steam and eventually on the platform that are massive successes. Smaller teams with clearer visions are the future, not big teams that make games by committee. I think the biggest problem with Diablo 4 is the ship is too big to be nimble. We see all of these issues with the game. They probably have stuff planned out a year in advance before they can make any changes. When they do make one change, it'll often break something else. We just saw that with Suicide Squad. They made changes and then they broke the loading aspects of the game. So I think smaller, nimble teams are the way to go. Do I want crunch? No, I don't want any of those challenges with it, but I am waiting to wait longer if that's what it takes for these studios to be successful. I don't advocate for crunch at all. If you just want to do your 9 to 5 and then call it a day, that's you. I've never been built like that, ever. Like when I was at UPS, loading trucks, you load your trucks in. When the work's done, it's done, right? Sometimes that meant a 3.5-hour shift. Sometimes that meant a 4-hour shift. And yeah, I mean, well, you get paid overtime at UPS. They're union, so that's good. I think we do need some protections for the industry, for sure. Because of some of the stuff that's happening. But sometimes you just really like what you're working on and you want to work a little bit longer. I think it's more of an issue. Well, I think part of the issue, thanks, Kay. I think part of the issue is a lot of these jobs are salary. So when you put in a 60-hour week, you don't get more money, right? Hey, Chaos Lounge, good to see you. Yeah, you don't really get more money if you happen to like put in more hours. Like I'm salary. I don't get paid more if I work 80 hours in a week, you know? But that's my choice. And I do my best to have a work-life balance. But like, I don't mean to be corny, but like when I'm making something, I'm trying to make the best thing I can. I don't get a bonus. There's no bonuses, nothing like that. And I've always been like that. Like, I don't know. I had a YouTube channel for a while, the Daily DL that I worked on. Apparently, I watched those old videos and I'm just like, it's just me trying stuff out. I make stuff that I think is fun to make and that I'm passionate about making. And that's how it just works for me. And yeah, I don't know. And people often try and look out for me. They're like, hey, you should go home. I'm like, this is what I love to do. And that's why I say like, I'm never going to leave this. And that's why I do believe in smaller, nimble studios. I would be concerned that because I don't think how I work is healthy. And I think some people do need like, I don't know, man, it's a really complicated question. And I like to work a lot. I've always liked to work a lot. I've always been like that. It's just who I am. I don't know. And that's something I'm not going to change. But I worry about an exploitative industry arising. That would be problematic. At the same time, Jaffe sort of talked about crunch and his perspective on it, and he's actually made some of these mega games. And then you have, yeah, you can't force people to do crunch. I think that's the problem, because it's mandatory at a lot of these companies. That's where it's problematic. And I think it's as simple as that. If you're mandating crunch, that's a problem. But if it's not mandated, then that's on me, right? That's on Destin. I'm doing it to myself. Anyway, I didn't mean to. I don't like really talking about that stuff because, like, I worry it's going to get taken out of context and then used against me. Like, my words will be edited, and I hate that. But, like, the video game industry has been very exploitive, especially the big studios. And it's a problem. Anyway, let's continue on. With the same enthusiasm and passion, we believe that now is the time to take the studio and our future games to the next level. This opportunity allows us to return to our roots of being a small and nimble studio. To make this news even more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft. And while we're in the early days of developing our next new game and a ways away from making any announcements, our team is excited to develop new stories, new characters, and new gameplay experiences. Our friends at Activision and Microsoft have been extremely supportive of our new direction, and we're confident that we will continue to work closely together as part of our future. So keep your horns on and your eyes out for more news. Thank you to our community of players for always supporting us through our journey. We can't wait to share updates on our new adventure as an indie studio. Talk to you soon. Hell yeah, Toys for Bob. I am absolutely rooting for Toys for Bob, 100%. I hope they knock it out of the frickin' park. That's all I got to say. What else do we have here? I had a few reacts lined up. Oh, this is sort of exciting. Ghost of Tsushima PC port could be announced next week, it is claimed. It's been claimed that a Ghost of Tsushima PC port, oh, Special Nick, hey Nick, could be announced next week, possibly around March 5th. This news comes courtesy of Special Nick, who took to Twitter to tweet the claim. I'm hearing that we might be getting something about the Ghost of Tsushima PC port pretty soon. I love Nick. Nick is great. I have been extra skeptical about anything that's like a Twitter post breaking this news, because we had all that drama because one person said something crazy like Starfield's coming out on PlayStation. And then they later said, oh yeah, I was wrong, but it was too late. Everybody picked it up. Everybody picked it up. And so do I think it's true? I think this is believable. Ghost of Tsushima coming to PC, that makes a lot of sense. PlayStation has said they're going to get more aggressive with the PC strategy. Special Nick has a really good track record, right? But I am extra cautious. So this isn't a slight at Nick at all. Nick is great. He always tells me I'm really bad at messaging him back, but I just worry about any of those posts now. And it's because I believe it was Nate the Hate who said the Starfield thing and then he took it back, but it was just like, that was everywhere. It was nuts. I mean, I like Nick. I don't know what his track record is. I don't have like a tally of it, but I'm just saying, take this with a grain of salt. Let's have fun with the idea and just read this as a rumor, right? He has previously leaked almost the entirety of a recent state of play in a cryptic tweet, implying that he knows what he's talking about when it comes to future PlayStation announcements. As for when a Ghost of Tsushima PC port will be announced, Nick has been fairly clear that the announcement will be around March 5th, so we should expect an announcement sometime next week. I mean, I think it would be great. Ghosts was on the NVIDIA leak. We know it's coming. Well, there you go. Unloved homie. The NVIDIA leak was, they somehow put in their code the entire slate of games or something. Let me look at NVIDIA leak full list. Like, this wasn't a hack. It was like a database thing where somehow the database came out in its entirety. Let's see what we got. Sony, it literally takes years for these games to come to PC. Uncharted happened. Helldivers happened. Horizon, GT7 has not happened. God of War happened. Returnal, Demon Souls. I don't know what this is. Ratchet and Clank, Ghost of Tsushima. All of these were not part of the leak. I mean, Microsoft games are day and date on PC. And this was like how this happened was so bizarre. And this is from 2 years ago, right? GT7. I bet they can this. I don't think GT7 comes to PC. Polyphony, like, I'm very positive about GT7. I think it's one of the better PlayStation exclusives. Do I think it's coming to PC? No. Ghost of Tsushima is on this leak from 2 years ago, though. The new news is that it's March 15th. I don't know. What do you think? Happening or not happening? Yeah, Demon Souls also didn't happen, but it was on the list. Demon Souls would be a slam dunk. Maybe we finally get it. What else we got here? Okay, so I think I've gone through all the news I want to talk about. This one I did find interesting though, and this is another example of why I am incredibly excited about these smaller companies that are popping up, because I don't know what I had. What did I have on my screen? Because former Call of Duty devs form a new studio to make the anti-COD. NetEase is backing Bullet Farm, whose first game seems to be learning from COD's missteps. NetEase backed them, and we might get a new Call of Duty. Here's their image Bullet Farm from NetEase. He told VentureBeat, games are being annualized, franchised, sequelized, and battle passed to death. In a way, Bullet Farm is taking an old school approach on the matter of crunch, which notably plagued the last Call of Duty game. He expressed a belief that leadership in games has a responsibility to manage teams more sustainably for the benefit of developers and players alike. I absolutely agree with that. The scale suits the kind of game that we're making. Small and intimate studio, small and intimate game, right? Culturally, it lines up better when everyone has a big stake in the game and you're not a designer. Number 709, who works on tree props. I think you'll get better work out of people when they have a chance to touch more of the game than just their specialized niche thing where they have to do that same thing 1,000 times, like texturize a box, you know? Yeah, NetEase, I hear you on that, Clay. Some people are a little uneasy about NetEase, but yeah. I think GT7 is coming because, one, it's on NVIDIA list, and two, Sony is making PSVR compatible with PC. Oh, Tara. That's a good point, but we just had all these layoffs, so I think GT7 on PC with VR support, that would be really, really cool. What have I been playing lately? I think the main game that I've been playing is Ghost of Tsushima. Got here a little late. Opinions on RS wanting the employees to come into work 5 days a week starting from April. I understand it in Rocksteady's case. I like remote work a lot. I don't know. When I worked at IGN, I would be playing a game at my desk and I would be stopped constantly so people could ask me questions about the game I was capturing or what I was doing, or I know what you meant. or just to talk or whatever. And there were a lot of disruptions on the floor at the time. Like if you go watch my old Dark Souls 1 walkthrough, there's somebody who did like a reaction video to all my Let's Plays, and I just discovered it like not that long ago. It's really funny. And I say something like, it floats down, everybody on the floor starts laughing about something, and I'm like, I try and play it off because I used to have to record commentary like on the floor surrounded by like 20 people. So I just put my mic down, and then I have to do like commentary surrounded by people, right? I mean, it certainly makes you a lot less shy real quick, but it definitely was strange. I love this environment so much more. I can focus on what I'm focusing on. I think my worst challenge has been procrastinating. But to get back to answer your question, step it up a level about Rockstar demanding people to come in. Do you know why they're doing that? Because their whole freaking game was released to the public early. And then their trailer was leaked early. They want to get that on lock. They're like, this is not going to happen again. Thanks, Kay. I appreciate you hanging out. Rockstar. Here it is in Fortune. Rockstar Games calls off remote work, citing leaks in the run-up to releasing the new Grand Theft Auto 6. Rockstar Games, a division of Take-Two Interactive Software, will ask employees to return to office 5 days a week beginning in April as the video game maker enters the final stages of the development of its next game, the hotly anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6. I understand why they want this. And if I'm an employee, I'm probably going to hate it. I just talked about why I like working at home, right? Like there's fewer distractions and such, but they have clearly had massive security issues at the company. In an email to staff on Wednesday, reviewed by Bloomberg, Rockstar head of publishing Jen Colby said the decision was made for productivity and security reasons. The company has faced several security breaches, including a massive dump of early footage from the new Grand Theft Auto and an earlier trailer that leaked in December. He wrote that the company also found tangible benefits. Sorry, I forgot to zoom in. From in-person work, making those changes now puts us in the best position to deliver the next Grand Theft Auto at the level of quality and polish we know it requires, along with a publishing roadmap that matches the scale and ambition of the game. Do I prefer work from home? Yes. In Rocksteady's specific instance, I think it makes sense that they want people in the office. Thank you, Lucas. That's very nice of you. What's your take on it, chat? WFH or office? 1 for work from home, 2 for office. In Rocksteady's specific case, which one makes more sense? 1, work from home. 2, office. You can either type the word office or just 1 or 2. 1, work from home. 2, office. In Rocksteady's case. It's a little divided, but I think in this instance, a lot of people get it. Victor says 3 hybrid. That kind of makes sense. Jerkstore CEO says work from home is a scam. Well, your name is appropriate. Office. Yeah, I think in Rocksteady's case, it makes sense. They've suffered one of the worst hacks in history. The only one who I think had it worse was Insomniac. So I think the Insomniac is the only instance of a worse hack than the Rockstar hack. Sorry if I keep saying Rocksteady. Their names will start with R, so my brain stops working. Yeah. They've had so many leaks already. They're probably trying to minimize possible spoilers for story and what future plans may be. Yeah. I think there's just a situation there where it kind of makes sense that they're doing that in that particular instance. The PS hack, you're talking about the one back in like 2013, right? Step It Up. Yeah, that one was pretty bad because that got all the user info. But that hack was more about users, not about PlayStation. Again, Capcom got hacked in 2020, but like the stuff they got it wasn't like the PlayStation hack. The PlayStation hack was like business plans for the next 10 years and internal emails. And it was Microsoft lawyers releasing the next 5 years of Microsoft was also bad. Like the last few years have just been insane for leaks. Think about it. We had Microsoft, their lawyers screwed up, didn't properly redact a document that's available to everybody on planet Earth because it's a court document. And it just reveals their next 5 years of games, if not further out than that. Like that one was bad. That one's self-inflicted. Then you had malicious attacks on Insomniac that released personal emails and employee details like their passports and such, which like, I don't know why the hacker group would release that. That's just like, nobody's going to have your back for that one. Anyway, they just released this whole slate of plans from Sony. That was awful. And then there were older attacks like the Capcom attack and the PlayStation Online attack, which focused more on the users. And those are well known, but the more malicious and vicious attacks included those from hacker groups, like attacking a company. And in Rockstar's case, it was very bad. They basically released the game, which is nuts. Yeah, I guess Insomniac also suffered something similar. I think, okay, if we're ranking the most malicious, terrible attacks in the history of gaming, I'd say Insomniac is the worst one I've ever seen. It was brutal for those employees to just like have that happen to them. And now they're going through the layoffs. Like it's just totally messed how shitty Insomniac has been treated. They don't deserve it at all. So that's the worst one in my opinion. Next would be the Rockstar stuff. I get that people are hungry for Grand Theft Auto, but just putting the game out there, that was pretty bad one. Like that one was also brutal. And then I guess the next one would be Microsoft self-inflicted. All of that has happened in the last year. Wait, no. Let me take that back. Maybe 2 years. When did what year was the Rockstar release? No, we could say Rockstar because Rockstar had their trailer released early and they were forced to like up their release date. Like Rockstar can't get a freaking break. So they had the big data leak and then they had the YouTube leak with the Bitcoin or whatever plastered all over it. So yeah, they're like, look, we're going back to office. We tried the work from home thing. We're done with this. No, we're locking everything down. I don't think any of these are beneficial to any of these companies. I think they're bad, period. So I don't particularly like leaks like that either. I think the Xbox one, that's just like, that's on them. Their lawyers messed up and they just gave us everything, right? Malicious attacks, they're just different. And I think there's a pretty clear distinction between the two that are obvious. Hacking somebody and holding them ransom and then releasing their content when they don't pay your ransom. Like that's much different than you accidentally post a PDF with all of your stuff online for everybody to download, like to a court website. Phil Spencer might as well have tweeted the PDF, like, you know, oh, don't talk about that, please. Like, yeah, sorry, it's kind of out there. What else we got here for news? I have a few. I have several reacts queued up
that
I wanted
Diablo
to watch.
4 did, and they garnered.
Stop. I was gonna react. Somebody suggested legendary drops. There was one from a small YouTuber I wanted to react to. I found it, and I thought it was really, really interesting. So, okay, yeah. So we're gonna do this one.
Let's kick.
If you're an Xbox fan watching me today, you are not gonna like this next video. This is my reaction to a video titled "Xbox Going Third Party is the Right Move." It was posted by this YouTube channel, Mostly Positive. I have no idea who this person is. They have a Patreon with 27 posts. I don't know if they have any patrons. They have a Twitch channel with 7 followers. Does he have another channel? 8 subscribers on his Clips channel. 232 subs. So here we go. Quick question though in chat. Destin, why don't you make Spanish dub videos to get Spanish speakers? Doesn't YouTube do that automatically? Yeah, Legendary drops every time he talks about me. I turn on his stream and he happens to be talking about me, or like one of my tweets or something. This is from Mostly Positive. Who thinks that Xbox going third party is the right move? Let's react to this right now after I fix the display thing. And I got to turn Restream chat on over here. Boop. Xbox going third party is the right move? Is this person right? Let's watch and find out.
Let's kick off this video by saying Xbox went third party a long time ago.
Yep. They've been saying that he was going to go third party, or that they were going to go third party a long time ago. They have talked about this. They have marketing campaigns around it. But the issue is when they start releasing on PlayStation and Nintendo, right? So they're already an ecosystem, which is why I say ecosystem in most of my videos. Let's hear what else this person has to say.
I can't be bothered to search it up. That's journalism, baby. But I'm fairly certain that Gears 4, along with a few other titles like Forza, were part of a lineup of games for a new initiative Microsoft launched called Play Anywhere.
All right. He said he can't look it up. Let's look it up. Xbox Play Anywhere. Wow. There's literally a website about it. Now, when you own an Xbox Play Anywhere digital title, it's yours to play on both Xbox, Windows 10, and 11 PC. And then we all know that this is a thing, right? When was it announced? Gigantic was announced. Xbox Play Anywhere is fantastic from 2023. So yeah, it's been around for a while.
Games featuring the Play Anywhere logo meant that if you purchased your game on the Xbox or Windows Store, you would be able to play it on both your Xbox or PC. One purchase, no drawbacks, no hidden fees, no selling your soul to Microsoft. This was one of the most forward...
Let's be honest. We all use Windows for the most part, right? So yeah.
Thinking and consumer-friendly moves Microsoft has ever made. And while there were very few...
What was that? What did this person say?
No selling your soul to Microsoft. This was one of the most forward-thinking and consumer-friendly moves Microsoft has ever made.
Do you agree with that statement? Being able to play your games on Xbox and PC, cross progression, being able to play your games via xCloud, and all of that sort of works in one ecosystem. Do you agree that that is pro-consumer, that is a positive for the Xbox ecosystem? I'm just talking about Windows, Xbox, and xCloud. That's all I'm talking about. Do you like that? Generally, yes, it is very good. I would agree. I think that it was a good thing. I love that I could play my games anywhere. Let's continue on. Now, we've all agreed.
And while there were very few...
Oh, man. Clay, thank you. Is there a way you can fix that? I'll just mark that to clip it out. Where was I? Sorry. Had to moderate for a second. I agree that that was tremendously pro-consumer.
Xbox titles on PC before this. The Xbox Play Anywhere initiative was the first real attempt and transition to becoming a third-party developer.
You know what else they did that was great? Backwards compatibility. The games that are backwards compatible are also wonderful. I absolutely agree.
Look, guys, I've always played everything under the sun, but when it came to Xbox versus PlayStation, I'm an Xbox kid through and through.
Me too. Let me make that clear. I still prefer Xbox. I always have. I've played since the original Xbox. It was always doing something that intrigued me. And a lot of people have looked back at the Xbox One and thought, yeah, you know what? We were kind of wrong about this thing because now everybody just does this anyway. So the Xbox One got a lot of hate. And I've publicly talked about my problems with the Xbox One and why it's problematic. But I think it was ahead of its time. Unfortunately, not everybody else thought that way.
I had friends throughout my elementary school days who owned an original Xbox, and I would play Halo 1 and 2 with them. It was awesome. I have good memories of that. The first...
Bro, same. I absolutely agree with this person. Like, do you remember how awesome it was to come home and play Halo 2 all night? Or even Halo 3? I played Halo 2 so many times. I played through it again when the Master Chief Collection came out. Those games are so good. They're very, very fun.
First Xbox console I personally owned was the sleek and sexy Xbox 360 Slim. God damn.
Okay, you know which one I had? This is going off on a little bit of a tangent. My original Xbox was the OG white one. And I worked at UPS at the time. I would collect Mountain Dew bottle caps and put them in a bag. And one of the people who did like all of the collection and everything, I kind of told them what I was doing, and they would just hand me like bottle caps that they had collected. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much for doing, like, it was very kind of them to do. And I won my 360. I would look at the times when it had the lowest amount of entries because I worked graveyard at the time, right? So I worked graveyard at the time, and I would calculate or just watch trends and say, that is the lowest time period in terms of entries for the Xbox 360. I am going to stack up all of my entries because you could like sort of stack them and like enter as many as I possibly can at that time. So my odds of winning went from like 1 in a million to like 75% chance I was going to win one, because like 500 people would enter at that time, and I'm dumping 300 code redemptions at that time period. They gave away so many 360s with that Mountain Dew thing. It was like every hour they gave away a 360. Anyway,
one of the best console designs to ever exist.
it's nice.
I started off with Halo 3 and ODST and immediately bought
Oh, so good. And did you hear the news about the Halo ODST game that was supposed to be a lot like Helldivers that Microsoft didn't support? Yeah. So that happened. Anyway, he's getting to his point. The point of the video is about how going third party is the right move.
Banjo-Kazooie on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
A few months later for Christmas, I got Halo Reach and Call of Duty Black Ops.
Yeah.
Two of the most memorable and critically acclaimed games to their respective franchises. The Xbox 360 and the 360 era itself was nothing short.
Halo is so good. What happened? Halo was so good. Sorry. Halo was so good. I love Halo so much.
Of magical. Hopping on Xbox right after school, shooting the shit with your friends, and talking about it the next day on the bus, the classroom, or during lunch. It was the absolute best, and it defined the childhood of so many people around the world. Xbox has done so much for so many, and it's why I always had pride in sticking with the underdog.
Is that real art from the game? Is that a scene from what would have been Halo Reach, right? And by the way, I think the new season of the show isn't half bad. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's pretty good, though. I was very surprised by that and happy. But yeah, man, the Bungie days with Halo were so good. I think Infinite's pretty good, but is it better than the Bungie days? No. But it was on the right path, and then 343, you know. But I think Infinite, I kind of want to like look at Infinite again.
They supported many indie developers.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Like he's just talking about why I love Xbox. Back in the day, in the 360 day, I could have made a game on the 360. I want to say they used Unity back in the day. Like when I went to school for game design, I was messing around, and I've probably talked about it a lot on the channel, but I would mess around in 3ds Max. I made some character models. I did a few animations in 3ds Max at the time. But at that time when we were in school, they're like, you could release on Xbox. They have this whole program that allows small developers to release their game. And that was at a time when like Limbo and Braid was being created. Super Meat Boy. Yeah. All of these super awesome games were being created at the time. And Xbox was doing a lot to support the smaller creator. ID at Xbox continues that in some respects. There's a lot of reasons to love Xbox.
Through the ID at Xbox program by providing free dev kits and helping to promote up-and-coming games. And let's not forget the Xbox Adaptive Controller that helped many people with disabilities. I mean,
these are all reasons Xbox is great, but he's not getting to the point yet of why them going third party is the right move. So I'm going to let him talk for a bit.
First reaction to that was literally 1, holy shit, and 2, holy shit. I mean, why? The market for that can't possibly be big enough to truly bother with. But they did it, and that's fucking cool.
And I believe that either PlayStation heard about them doing it, or seeing this got PlayStation off their butts to do it. Just like Xbox doing Xbox Live got PlayStation to come up with a PlayStation Network, and Xbox doing achievements got PlayStation to do PlayStation trophies. Like the companies influence each other in a positive way. That's why I always say competition is so important in the industry. That's sort of like the nugget of truth that I do see in a lot of the concerns about the third party issue is there is a concern that Xbox going third party will reduce the competitive nature that we've seen push forward the industry in positive ways. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I think the fact that these companies can't even afford to make their own $300 million games is just going to do that organically. I think it's going to end the console war because they don't know how to budget.
How about backwards compatibility?
Yeah.
The 360 provided backwards compatibility with the original Xbox.
This video is amazingly edited, by the way. The VO is great. The music is a really good pick. This dude has 200 subs. I'm going to link to the video. And if you like what you're seeing, give the channel a sub or something. Hopefully you'll stick around here, though, and keep watching. But
and while the Xbox One didn't have it at launch, it was eventually added. And out of nowhere, your library expanded tenfold.
Yep.
And not just simply added. Through the Xbox One X, they enhanced many games from both the original Xbox.
Oh, that's right. Like if I go play Fallout right now, it's awesome. It's basically modernized. The original Oblivion was improved. You know, I think the only company that is doing anything even close to what Xbox has done for free, by the way, as part of your purchase, is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is doing that.
And the 360 with massive improvements to frame rate and resolution. Once again, completely for free. Oh, and most importantly, let's not forget that one time I downloaded the Portal demo and was just straight up given the game for free. That was some real cool shit, Xbox. Thanks. I want to circle back to Microsoft's key business moves and how it affected me as an Xbox fan. When Microsoft launched the Xbox One X,
This is nothing to do with third party. This is just like, Xbox is awesome. Here's why. Brett, thank you for becoming a core supporter. I do appreciate it very much.
I was ecstatic. I purchased my first monitor and made sure to go for one with 4K resolution to take advantage of the most powerful console ever released at the time. I wanted to experience games in mind-melting 4K. I locked my pre-order in for the Project Scorpio edition at GameStop. I was there at the midnight release. Everything at home was set up.
I got the Scorpio.
And ready to go for a night of pure bliss. Just a matter of plug and play.
One of the top videos on my channel is me setting up the Xbox One X or the Project Scorpio edition, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I just did it at my house. It's super low budget. I was in it's up northern California at the time. I can't even remember the name of the town. Walnut Creek. Yeah. You can go look at my most popular videos. That should pop up. It was a live stream.
And by golly, I don't remember any of it. Hey, it was back in November of 2017. I can barely remember what I did last night.
I know exactly what I did. You want to know what I did? I bet Clay knows. You want to know what the first game I played was? Clay, if you're there, you remember, don't you? I'll give you a hint. There's a helmet on my shelf behind me. Yeah, that's right. I booted up the original Mass Effect. Yeah, that's correct. On Love Tommy. I used to live out there. Yeah, I played through Mass Effect. I think it was the first one I did.
Let alone over 6 years ago. But I'm positive I loved it back then. Because even right now, I remember the One X as being a fucking awesome console. But it had one fatal flaw. It was excellent at running games in 4K, or it was excellent at running games at 60 FPS. Never both.
Whoa, okay. No, internet, you gotta stop thinking that your console's gonna do native 4K and 60 frames per second. It's not gonna happen. You can either have native 1080p at 60, right? You're not gonna get 4K and 60. Not anytime soon. Like maybe the PS6 and the Xbox, whatever they decide to call it, Xbox Series X squared. But like even a super powerful PC struggles to run native 4K 60. It's just like, yeah. everything's usually up-resed anyway. I think that's just a misunderstanding about how taxing something like that is on the engine. And also games aren't optimized worth a dang most of the time. So, yeah.
I had a blast playing many games, but
yeah, they market it that way, just like PlayStation markets that the console does 8K. Like, it's nonsense. It's just nonsense buzzwords. Yeah, exactly. K.
It killed me to have to choose between the absolute beauty of 4K or the unbelievable fluidity of 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
The Play Anywhere initiative is suddenly
1440p 60. That is the target, Minch. I agree. Absolutely. That should be where you're targeting. And even if that 1440p is up-resed,
much more enticing. Why? Because if you have a powerful enough PC, you don't have to choose between high resolution or high frame rate.
Yep.
You can have both. On top of that, you don't have to pay for the bullshit privilege to play online, which, let's make things clear, Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus is ultimately just a fee to be allowed to use your own internet.
Yeah. I mean, you're paying for chat functionality and whatever they're going to tell you marketing wise, but he's right. Both of them are BS.
Let's not kid ourselves. By the end of 2018, I had enough of choosing between resolution or frame rate. Gaming is the greatest hobby.
That's right when I went to PC also. Like, PC became my main platform around the release of Destiny 2. Before that, though, I learned how to play PUBG. So like, I'm like, I am finally going to learn how to play on PC. And you know how I rest my hands on the keyboard? I use W to move forward and back. And I know that's not how you're supposed to play PC games. So like, I have it in the typing keys. I thought that's how you're supposed to play. So I never use lower left control for anything. So old games are really hard for me to play because you would actually offset your fingers. So your fingers, I can't move the camera, but they would rest one over from keyboard typing. You would move it one over, and that's how they would do it. Yeah, PUBG was illegal now. That's right. Anyway, let's continue on.
On Earth, and I wanted to experience it in the best way possible. At the start of 2019, I got a PC that would have no trouble running every game at 4K 60 FPS, and it was glorious. I replayed Gears 4 and Forza Horizon 3, taking advantage of the Play Anywhere initiative. I didn't have to purchase those games again. I already owned them with my transition to PC. Not long after, the Master Chief Collection was announced to come to PC, but not just PC. They were releasing it on Steam.
What? Third party, everybody. And everybody, it was so insane because everybody would criticize Xbox because they released on other things. Like, oh, it's not really a console exclusive. It's like, what's their sell-through rate on the console? Like 10 million units? If PlayStation's at 21 million and they're outselling the Xbox 2-1, let's say Xbox is at like 12 million units, right? Yeah, let's get those games on Steam and PC. That's what I say.
Of Xbox, Phil Spencer would release this statement. As the creator of Windows, we have a unique responsibility to ensure we're investing in experiences that benefit players everywhere, while respecting the PC community's preference for an open, highly customizable platform. We've not always lived up to our aspirations of keeping gamers at the center of everything we do when it comes to the experiences they've had on Windows. Our intent is to make our Xbox Game Studios PC games available in multiple stores, including our own Microsoft Store on Windows at their launch. We believe you should have a choice in where you buy your PC games.
You know, that's interesting because they're just expanding it to the next level, right? Now they're saying like, well, at least for their smaller games. And the reason I don't have as strong of a reaction to this is, again, I don't think that these games are a big deal to see come to other platforms. If it was Starfield, if it was Halo, my opinion might shift. And everybody's like, oh, look, I gotcha. In 2021, you said Starfield's not coming multi-platform, and it never did. And the conversation that they had in that roundtable, it was about those big games. It wasn't really about the smaller ones. At least that was my interpretation of it. If you want me to say I was wrong and eat crow, all right, like I was wrong. Games went multi-platform. But who cares? Who cares at the end? Oh, Hi-Fi Rush can be played by PlayStation players. Uh-oh. Like, Hi-Fi Rush isn't moving units. Sea of Thieves isn't moving units. Pentiment isn't a system seller. So, like, if you're worried about the console, like, the games that they have chosen to go multi-platform are really smart. Because what's going to happen is those players who decide to play on that other platform are like, hey, Xbox does have great games. I guess all this narrative that we've been hearing nonstop isn't really true. There are a lot of great games on the Xbox platform. Yeah, they care. They care, right? Are they going to stop buying Xbox? The people who say yes are so small in terms of number that I don't think it has an overall impact. And I'm not saying that their opinion's invalid or anything like that. They're obviously entitled to their opinion, but I don't think it has a big enough impact on Microsoft's bottom line to say, yeah, we better take Hi-Fi Rush off PlayStation and Nintendo. I think Hi-Fi Rush was just PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, which, by the way, means that Hi-Fi Rush can now potentially be played by like 150 million more people, or whatever the number is of sales of those units. It's a smart move. It's not about whether you like it or not. It's a smart move, period. And that's my take on it. I'm not really going to argue about it because we just aren't going to agree on it. But obviously you're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine, and let's move on.
And there it is. Xbox officially went third party.
Yeah, Preston, that's the thing. Preston says, I'm not walking away from my 300 plus games in my Xbox library. Yeah. Like Hi-Fi Rush coming out on PlayStation. What? You're going to go buy a PlayStation 5, buy Hi-Fi Rush on your PlayStation 5 and like rebuy all 300 games on that. Like that's not going to happen. Thanks for the content, Destin. Keep up all the great content. Love seeing you more on your own channel. Aw, thank you. Thanks, Baldwin.
Back in 2019. Not 2024.
That was 2019 when they went multi-plat.
Game has been coming to Steam for quite a while now,
yep.
And I've had no reason to buy an Xbox console. This is a definitive win for me.
How come there was no outrage when the games were released on PC day and date? There was no outrage when they were put on Steam. I would argue that people didn't really mind that a lot of the games were multi-plat. They were celebrating when the games that were formerly on PlayStation finally came to Xbox because they're like, Xbox owns these studios now, so the sequels will likely launch here first. I don't see a lot of outrage about Minecraft still being available on those other platforms. Did I think Xbox would do more exclusive content on their platform? Yes. Time's going to tell if that's correct or not. There have been some of the smaller titles released on other platforms, but will Starfield, Indiana Jones, Halo, the next Elder Scrolls, will those come out on the PlayStation 5? That's what we're waiting to see.
A win for PC players and just an overall win for all consumers. This is glory days for everyone. PC players who've never owned an Xbox can try out their new releases. If console players want to take the leap into PC, then they're not left in the dust. They've got games already available thanks to the Play Anywhere initiative. On top of that, Xbox Game Pass is available on PC as well. You're not going to be hurting for what to play. Players now have a choice on where to play their games. If they want to take advantage of the Steam platform and all its features, buy it on Steam.
Yep.
Want to play through Steam, but it's a tad too expensive? Hey, no problem at all. There are a number of trusted third-party key sellers, such as Greenman Gaming or Fanatical, that sell Steam keys for upcoming games at an immediate discount. Yes, you heard me right. On PC, you don't have to pay full price for games, even on release. And with games being more expensive than ever, it's a godsend. You play your PC in your bedroom.
I just want to say I respect the hell out of the Alan Wake team for committing to their vision and releasing Alan Wake 2, like making that passion project and making it everything that it was. they haven't made money on that game yet. And I think they will eventually, but I respect the hell out of anybody that sticks to their artistic vision and releases it, even with the potential chance of failure. I think Alan Wake 2 will get there, but it hasn't happened yet. Bontis, good to see you. It's been a while.
Room, but your Xbox in your living room? No biggie. With cross saves, there's no hassle with switching between platforms.
So
what
good.
about multiplayer games? Gears 5, Halo Infinite? They now have a much larger player base thanks to PC players and cross-platform play.
Yep.
There are over 100 million active users on PlayStation. Let's just pretend for a moment that only a quarter of those are interested in playing Xbox multiplayer games. That's still 25 million players. For those who've been thinking Halo Infinite is dead or sunsetting, imagine it launching on PlayStation and getting an unbelievable healthy boost to the player count. And
I'm curious. Thank you, Brett, for the $4.20 Canadian dollars. Love your content. I have my hopes up for Handheld. Chat, important question. Do you think Halo will come to the PlayStation? Just multiplayer. Do you think Halo will come to PlayStation? I think the answer is no. I shouldn't have said that. I don't want to lead you towards a response. A lot of people disagree with me. A lot of people say yes. Some people say it should. I think Halo's off limits. I'm such a Chad. Chad's good, right? I don't know the lingo. Microsoft is not just Xbox. It's Microsoft. We'll see. We'll see.
And what exactly is wrong with that? Nothing. There's nothing wrong with a game getting more players. There's nothing wrong with getting to play with more people or getting a chance to go up to your friend who's only ever played on PlayStation and saying, "Hey buddy, this is one of my favorite Xbox games. I'd love for you to give it a shot and play a couple rounds with me."
God, I love this
More
game.
people enjoying the games you love is a wonderful thing. Let's not forget about Microsoft's cloud.
Yeah, more people getting the play. Just because I know what the argument is, let's talk about the argument against it. And I don't agree with it, but more people getting to play your games is a wonderful thing. I agree with that statement. I think it's awesome that more people are getting to play Xbox games, and I love to see it. The argument against it is that PlayStation will be less incentivized to compete with Microsoft, and Microsoft will get less creative or something. I don't know. Maybe I don't know the argument as well as I thought. I don't really understand why it's bad. I think there's a concern that it will damage the Xbox brand, right? Kay says leave Halo and Gears alone. Yeah, the overall concern though is about Halo going multiplat in terms of going to PlayStation specifically, is that it will somehow damage the Xbox brand or mean Xbox is getting out of the business. At the end of the day, it certainly seems to me like these companies are barely holding it together anyway. So if Halo coming to PlayStation is what it takes for Xbox to continue surviving, then maybe it's what needs to happen. Or in a more ideal scenario, these companies learn how to rein it in a little bit and make some adjustments.
Streaming service xCloud. With xCloud, you literally do not need an Xbox to play Xbox games.
And I think that's the future. I think stuff like xCloud is the future. Is it there right now? No, the latency is way too high. Brett says, with all these first-party Xbox games on the way and nothing from PS5 first-party, do you think that narrative about Xbox having no games will change in the next year or two? It should. I think that narrative's been kind of nonsensical for a while.
Games. Yeah, pretty crazy, right? Any device capable of browsing the internet is able to utilize it. Android devices, Apple devices, the Steam Deck. We're talking phones, tablets, laptops, desktops, smart TVs, even your goddamn fridge.
Ah, damn it. All right, they got me.
Wait, he actually played it on the fridge? Xbox Game Pass Ultimate on my Samsung smart fridge. The future is now. I made that as a joke. I didn't know somebody actually did that. That's crazy.
1 second, guys. Let me grab something to drink here.
That is so good.
All right, I'm back in it.
Insane! And you're probably thinking, why the hell would they do that? What's the point? For the longest time, it's never been about getting people to purchase an Xbox console. As a matter of fact,
they lose money every Xbox console they sell. That's about offering a platform to people that want to enter the Xbox ecosystem or fans that want to upgrade and play the games in their best ability or best quality for a lower price than it would cost to do so on PC.
the idea of an Xbox console is outdated.
I agree. I think the idea of consoles, period, is a bit outdated. At least being locked to those ecosystems, and games are the platform now. I think that's the future that we're going to see happen. Games are the platform now, not the consoles. And if you are not able to have access to that game on whatever you're playing on, you are putting yourself at a disadvantage. If Fortnite wasn't on Xbox, that would be really bad for Xbox, right? If Minecraft wasn't on PlayStation, that would be bad for PlayStation, right? Because they still make revenue from those games and those sales on those platforms. I also don't think it would be particularly good for Xbox taking it off of PlayStation. They make tons of money from Minecraft being available on competing platforms. And you know what they do with that money? They dump it into development of other properties and their whole ecosystem. So hopefully that continues. I think things are going to change pretty drastically in the next 5-10 years.
By Microsoft standards, it's about getting you to join the Xbox ecosystem.
Well, he
Think
used
about
the
it
word.
this way.
He
There
said the
are
thing.
millions of players who only ever play Call of Duty on their PlayStation or their PC. Guess who owns Call of Duty now? Guess what logo you're going to see from now on every time you boot the game up?
Is it true that the PlayStation versions don't have the Xbox Game Studios logo on them? Can anybody confirm that? Because that is stupid if Xbox missed the branding. There's no logo, or there is the logo.
And every time you purchase a Call of Duty game for your PlayStation, or a weapon skin, a character bundle, a battle pass, guess who gets a cut of that profit? Believe it or not, it's always been about the money. Let's not...
Whoa, who would have thought that these people care about the money? They didn't put the logo on. When I boot up MLB The Show on my Xbox, that PlayStation logo is bam, right in your face. That is a miss on Microsoft's part.
Kid ourselves. From the very beginning, it's been about money. And until the end of time, it will always be about money.
Yep.
Microsoft is a business. They care about the money. The shareholders don't give a shit about anything other than the money. It's not just Microsoft. It's every business. Let's take a look at Sony. When it takes hundreds of millions of dollars and over half a decade...
Yeah, that was from the FTC leaks. I don't know when this video came out, but now we know Spider-Man 2 costs $300 million. Like, they're looking at their bottom line also.
...to make their games? Fuck yeah, they're gonna want to make it back. Are you kidding me? PlayStation has pretty much always been the dominant console, and even they're putting their titles on PC. I bought a PS4 to play...
Real quick, you know why PlayStation hasn't released on Xbox yet? Because the Xbox install base is too small to warrant the cost, I think, to do it. That's my hot take opinion on it. I think PlayStation will not release on the Xbox because there is no incentivization for them to do so. Meanwhile, PlayStation still releases the majority of their games on the PlayStation 4. You know why? 100 million people own PlayStation 4s. 100 million people own a PlayStation 4. That's why we didn't see next gen only games. They have to hit a certain threshold in terms of how many people they can sell to before it warrants that expense of pulling it off of the PS4, right? How many pure PlayStation 5 exclusives are there? Can we count them on one hand? Demon Souls. Is Gran Turismo 7 next gen only? Chat, you probably know off the top of your head, but I think it's like the Demon Souls remake. Yeah, and then the prices of everything went up. That's why I think PlayStation won't do it, but Xbox gains far more from releasing on PlayStation and PlayStation 4 than PlayStation gets from releasing on Xbox. Xbox gets access to 124 million more potential customers. PlayStation gets access to not that. And it's because, as Phil Spencer said, they lost the most important year to lose, the Xbox One era versus PS4. Anyway, let's continue on.
Play Sony's exclusives. I did play a few of them, but the thing ended up gathering dust.
God, I love that game, Shadow of the Colossus. And that's the better one. That's the remade one.
Because I hate using the DualShock controller, and all my games are on Steam. So it's just a pain in the ass to have to deal with the PlayStation.
Well, you know what? That's whatever. That's like his personal preference. But I will say the games are phenomenal, though. I think PlayStation makes some of the best games that I've ever played. Xbox has had a lot of phenomenal games also. Like, I love a lot of the companies that they own now and a lot of the games that they have created. And Halo is one of my favorite. Halo's like the reason I'm in the industry. I'm like in the industry because I made a Halo joke video. Like, that's how I got my start, really, you know? But I think PlayStation does make a lot of great games, and I don't really want to see that go away. And I want to see Xbox continue to improve in their game library. Like, the Gears franchise is great. We haven't heard from Gears in so long. I do like Halo Infinite a lot.
You better fucking believe I was there day one when Sony dropped Days Gone on PC. That game is fantastic. Deacon St. John is a wonderful character.
I need to play this.
I don't give a fuck what anyone says. And it was the first game I played on my ultra-wide monitor, and my mind was goddamn blown.
He doesn't need to swear this much.
Then came Horizon.
So, like, if I'm going to give him some feedback, he doesn't really need to swear. He's making really good points. I think swearing doesn't really add a lot for me. I don't know. That's just my, like, I don't know. I think I'm just getting old. I don't like swearing when it's not really necessary. Like, I feel like he's doing it to add emphasis, right? And I'm like, I don't know that that's needed, but maybe that's just how he talks in his style.
Zero Dawn, the Spider-Man games, freaking God of War, Ratchet and Clank, even The Last of Us is on PC. And it's been implied that their strategy going forward might be to begin simultaneously.
No, it's not might. That's definitely where we're headed.
Launching their exclusives on PC the same day as on their console. Oh yeah, PlayStation is a third-party developer just like Xbox, and they have been for a while.
Oh my God, PlayStation's third party, everybody. PlayStation's doomed. Their game. Look at all these games that are on PC. Oh no. Oh, if PlayStation's doomed and Xbox is doomed, it's all over. That's how I feel like when I hear this stuff, because I just see opportunity. I don't know.
For all of this, PlayStation Now was a streaming service that allowed PlayStation games to be played on PC for the
PlayStation Now was first. And it was bad when it launched. I think it's better now. It's still problematic, right? Like, it just doesn't work that great. But yeah.
Very first time. When I played through Bloodborne with my best friends, they were both able to join me by playing through PlayStation Now.
That's cool.
And we had a blast. From what I understand, PlayStation Now has been integrated into the PlayStation Plus Premium, so that option is still there. You don't even need a powerful PC or even a PlayStation console to play their games. Just a solid internet connection.
I don't think that's accurate. I think you still need the console, right? Can I play Bloodborne on PC, like using streaming? Is that true? You have to have the console though, right? I think PlayStation has like a weird tether. I thought PlayStation had a weird tethering thing where the console is actually doing the streaming. I'd have to dig into it more. I don't use streaming a whole lot, so that's a subject topic I would have to read more about. Someone says, no, you don't need the PC. Okay.
Just like Xbox. Let's be real for a moment.
That's great.
The idea of exclusives is not only an outdated concept, but it's anti-consumer. That's why I despise companies like Epic Games and Meta.
Do you understand why, if you look at it, exclusives are anti-consumer? Do you understand why people would say that? Or are you like, or do you think that's not true? The reason that they're anti-consumer is because you need to spend $500, let's say the console's $500. You need to spend $570 to get that game. You have to. Now, what if you have a PC and it was day and date? Now you have the choice to buy the $500 or not. Meaning you have the choice to save $500. Exactly. Yeah, not everybody can play it. So access is the most pro-consumer thing that you can do. More people being able to play, that is the best thing for the games industry. You don't have to pay for the chance to play it. I think that's very exciting as somebody who loves a platform. Like if you love PlayStation or you love Xbox, you get to talk about, look at all the exclusives I have on my console versus look at all the exclusives I have on my console, right? But is that the best thing for consumers? And it's like, if you really think about it, the answer is no, it's not. The best thing for consumers is allowing them the choice of where they play. If you're an Xbox fan, would you like to play Spider-Man? Would you like to play the Final Fantasy games? Yeah, you would. And if those games aren't your jam, pick a game that PlayStation has that you don't, that you think would be your jam. Would you like to have that on your platform? Yeah, you would. I want my car to be electric, but I don't want to buy another car. Tesla is anti-consumer? That makes no sense, Mike. That would be like saying, that's a really bad argument. That's like saying, I have an electric car, but if I want it to go, I can't even think of a comparison that makes any sense. That doesn't make any sense, Mike. Anyway, I'm going to continue on with the video.
Because they have a track record of buying studios and locking their games to their respective stores. And don't even get me started on the constant bullshit that Tim Sweeney spouts when it comes to the Epic Game Store. The only real first-party company is Nintendo. And the only reason people seem to give them a pass is because they consistently put out amazing games that...
I don't know that PlayStation does get a pass. Do they? I think people don't necessarily like PlayStation for some of their practices. And they get called out for it. But their games are consistently phenomenal. Everybody knows that PlayStation lives in their own universe. Like they're doing whatever they want and they're successful at it. And they just get a pass for everything.
That don't immediately try to nickel and dime you. Well, for the most part. But lately there's been growing resentment towards the power of Nintendo's console and how it severely affects the quality of their games.
Yep.
If Nintendo decided to put their games on PC, I guarantee you, whatever they put out will break records instantly.
I don't think it would. Nah, I don't know about that one. I don't know. If PlayStation released Zelda on PC, would it break records? I don't know. But then you know what I thought 2 seconds after I said that? Oh, I would totally buy that. If Zelda came out on PC, would you buy it? 1 for yes, 2 for no. If Zelda came out on PC, would you buy it? I would buy it in an instant. One for yes, 2 for no. Yeah, a lot of ones. Think about it. Native 4K, native 60 frames, like all the best for the Nintendo games. Yeah.
Not only instantly, but constantly. The reason I support...
Imagine if Pokemon was on PC. I think this certain game, PAL something, may not have been as exciting for people, right? PlayStation fans, or Nintendo fans, would definitely buy their games on PC.
Xbox as much as I do is because they're constantly making choices that benefit the consumer. Unlike Sony's constant nonsense of getting exclusivity deals or locking crossplay behind large and...
This is an old idea. Square partnering with Sony, something has happened there to make that deal make sense for Square Enix, right? So it seems to be working for Square in some respect. But now Square Enix seems to be partnering with Microsoft to get stuff like Final Fantasy XIV on the Xbox console finally. And I am curious what it's going to look like in a few years, because there's that Forbes piece where they talk about how Final Fantasy XVI wasn't quite where they wanted it to be in the long tail. There are these exclusives that are coming out only on the PlayStation. I'm definitely curious about where it's going to go.
Unnecessary fees. But I'm not here to rag on one company and praise the other. That's the last thing anyone should do. That, in turn, causes complacency and opens up the opportunity to abuse their customers.
Yeah, I think complacency is the concern. That's the main concern, right? People are worried that Xbox won't be incentivized to compete as well, or PlayStation won't be incentivized to compete as well. And I think that's the more concerning thing that fans have.
Reason Sony is constantly pushing the envelope, like raising their prices on their games and services while providing nothing in return, is because they can. It's because they've always been top dog and they have one of the most loyal customers compared to any brand that will defend them to their dying breath. With all of that being said, let's flip the table. Xbox has fired nearly 2,000 employees recently, with reports predicting the number to increase all throughout the year. Microsoft is a $3.12 trillion company, and instead of just reorganizing the fundamental structure of their studios, potentially moving employees from one studio to another, or providing training so employees can fulfill new positions, they outright fired them. You can say that they were laid off, but let's stop sucking dicks and call it what it is. Nearly 2,000 people were fired.
Well, no, there's a reason. That's not about... A layoff is a lot different than being fired. Fired is performance-based. A layoff is it's like not on the employee, right? So that distinction is actually really important. That's not about praising anybody. Like, the layoffs are still bullshit. But using that terminology is important. Yeah, he has a bit of a potty mouth. That's the only thing I don't like about the video, really. Everything else is great. A layoff means you're laid off due to reasons beyond your control. A firing means you suck. Right? Like, I think if you get fired, you feel worse than if you get laid off, even though you feel pretty crappy after either. But like, that distinction's actually more important than he's making out. Yeah. So
explain to me how it makes sense for 343 to announce that they're currently hiring to meet increased productions across multiple Halo projects.
We have a dedicated team working on supporting Halo Infinite and continuing to deliver going forward. But also, yes, we have additional teams now that are accelerating towards the future, working on brand new projects. So I just want to tantalize you with that. So there are a lot of things cooking here. We could not be more excited. As part of that, I also want to give a shout out We're actually growing the team right now. So if you're passionate about Halo, if you've got skills and you're interested, please keep an eye on the Microsoft career site, because we are growing, and we've got a lot of exciting things in the works for the future.
And then
Okay. So look, he is right to call this out. It's absolute nonsense. But you can't have the physical media guy do networking for multiplayer in Halo Infinite. Like, that's not something you can like train up quick enough for, right? They need experienced people with that particular skill set. So yeah, like the people that got laid off, one of the bigger divisions was the physical media or retail. Like, what are you going to take the retail person? You're going to have them do networking infrastructure. I do agree. I don't want this to feel like I'm defending any of these companies that did layoffs. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just sort of talking about this particular scenario. He's like, well, why don't you just, have them do that? And it's like, well, maybe they did. We don't really know what happened in that respect. Yeah. Anyway, it's not about defending Microsoft or anything like that, but I think that's a flimsier argument.
Immediately seeing reports of developers all across Microsoft and their studios being fired. $3.12 trillion.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you're telling me there's nowhere those people could have went? I think the Halo argument's a little weak, but like, they have $3 trillion. There's nowhere there's like nothing they could have done.
They literally just spent over $75 billion on Activision Blizzard. And suddenly you can't afford employees while at the exact same time saying that you're hiring? And don't even get me started on how well documented it is that Microsoft constantly hires developers on shitty contracts per projects, with no offers for full-time employment. This is the exact reason why Halo Infinite launched in such a terrible state. And what about Sony? Having PlayStation games on Steam has been an absolute dream. Web slinging through New York felt like an impossibility because of how aggressive Sony has been about their exclusives. I legitimately never thought we would ever see Spider-Man, Kratos, or Sackboy on PC, let alone seeing Xbox controls on screen alongside them. And that's really all I got for Sony. They really don't ever make consumer-friendly decisions. But hey,
yeah, they don't have a great track record.
Hey, that's a big one. And I fucking...
But they make great games. And yeah, honestly, like, my whole thing about swearing is, it's not that he's swearing, it's that it's not necessary to make his point. And I think if you don't swear and you make a great point, it's stronger when you don't use swears to make it. So your point, so like a lot of people are talking about how much swearing, because I don't usually watch vulgar type content. I'm going to have to bleep this when I do the VOD, for example. It doesn't help your point. It actually weakens your point. If you're going to swear, do it sparingly. So when you do swear, the point is clearer, right? If you just swear all the time, you're just, yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's excessive and unnecessary. But if I say the F word one time in a video, and it's like the first time I've said it in a year, I'm riled up. So, yeah. Yeah, he just talked about Sony firing a bunch of people.
Love them for it. Companies going third party is a good thing. Oh, well, no. Let me rephrase. It's the best thing that could happen. And the best move that you can make as a gamer is to call out companies on their actual bullshit and to support your favorite games being in...
See, like, I think that one makes a lot of sense. Like, he could have used that there. And if that was the only time he used it, it would be more impactful. But it's lesser because he's sworn too much to the video. Anyway.
Enjoyed by as many people as possible. And the best thing you can do for me is hitting the subscribe button and supporting me on Patreon. Also, sharing it with whoever might share the same sentiment, or maybe someone who might be blindly loyal to a company. We're here because we love games, and we should be excited to share our favorites to those who've never had a chance to try it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. See ya.
I have no idea who this person is. This video was recommended to me randomly. It has like 100 views. It has 245 views. It was released on March 1st. Mostly Positive is the name of his channel. For a channel called Mostly Positive, you should swear a little bit less. That's sort of my hot take on the whole thing. Amazing editing on the video. Great points. I think there's a few, I always think there's a few things, but like, yeah, I think one of my first reacts was from November Hotel. But this is really cool. This is from a channel called Mostly Positive. And yeah. Christian, so like when I was younger, I would swear a ton in my content. I don't care that he swore. I just think it diminishes his overall point. So it's like he's swearing a lot in the content and chat's reacting to it. They're like, this guy's swearing a lot. Like it doesn't come off as good as I think he plans for it to. So I just think it's unnecessary is all I'm saying. I'm not like, you're entitled to swear. If that's how you talk, that's it. November Hotel is great. I really like November Hotel. Good video. Definitely go check that person out. Okay, I had a few others. Oh, Big Fry TV, who I've heard of before. Let's do legendary drops because this video is from 2 months ago. Video game marketing is out of control. Well, wait. Before we get to that one, what was the one we just watched again? Xbox going third party is the right move. I absolutely agree. I think more people are going to start playing Xbox games. I think the console is one vehicle through which you can use to access the games that you love, right? Thank you, Brett. I really appreciate that. So it's one vehicle that can be utilized to get people access to the games that you love. But you're missing out on the 100 million other gamers on PlayStation. The most successful Xbox products are not locked to the Xbox ecosystem. You know what the most successful Xbox game is? It's Minecraft. And it's going to be Call of Duty. Those are going to be... Does Destin actually not understand the legal distinction between fired and laid off? Laid off means you qualify for unemployment benefits. It's a huge deal. Are you serious? I just said they're very different. And yes, you bring up a good point. Why does everybody do that? Is Destin stupid? Like, does Destin not understand the legal distinction? Like, that comes off so like negative. You could just say, hey, Destin, don't forget, being fired versus being laid off is very different because being laid off means you qualify for unemployment benefits. It's a big deal. And like when I'm at the beginning of the stream, I talked about all those tweets and like there was a network engineer. He's like, clearly you're doing this for engagement. If you're not smart enough to understand it, you shouldn't talk about it. And I'm just like, all right, bro. And then like 10 tweets later, he actually explained why it's important. And yeah. Clay, by the way, I don't know if Clay's still here. Clay's like my only mod. If people are being dicks, that's totally fine. But if they like cross the line, then you know, yeah. To be fair on Destin, companies use layoff to fire unwanted employees. Yeah, it is important. The distinction is very important. If you're fired with cause, that's important, right? Yeah, like if you're fired for sexual harassment, that is a lot different than being laid off. Yeah, you have more avenues to go into. Yeah, just a little surprised that y'all are mad at me for bringing up laid off versus fired. Like, yes, I understand that there's an important distinction between the two. So a few months back, Legendary Drops made a video called Video Game Marketing is Out of Control. And I thought it was a really smart time to take a look at this.
We've seen some remarkable games in 2023
to reflect.
There's this looming issue that's been off in the background, and you've likely have noticed it, and if you haven't, you will have by the end of this video. But with all of these breakout successes, these great hit titles that we've seen this year so far, we've also seen some of the biggest key players in the industry, some of the biggest titans of the industry stumble and fall. Which begs the question, why exactly is that happening? How exactly is that happening? If we're looking at a game like Diablo 4 as an example, a game with one of the most recognizable IPs in existence, how does that game fail to resonate with an audience? And even more so, how does it fall off so quickly?
You know what's interesting about Diablo 4? I think the main campaign of Diablo 4 is quite good. I think the problem was they just went in and they were mad because people were making really powerful characters early on.
What I'm here to do today is I'm here to argue that over-aggressive marketing, as well as sales and marketing's influence on game design, is what's causing a lot of these critical issues. Specifically, making games fail to resonate with audiences, and even more so, causing irreparable harm to a lot of these different companies and their reputations. We've seen a lot of videos over the past few years discussing how modern gaming is dead, but I believe the contrary. I think
also Death Battle. It's funny.
Looking at the last couple of years, gaming is very much alive and thriving, if not headed into a new golden age. I'd argue that what makes people feel like modern gaming is dying is
the rampant layoffs that we've been seeing. Remember, this video was made 2 months ago. This video was made 2 months ago before all the layoffs and everything happened. And yeah, there have been a lot of videos about why gaming is dying though. Just like I get recommended those a lot, and I'm like, I've reacted to like 2 or 3 of these already. I don't just want all my content to be this. But this one's about marketing and why marketing's out of control. And that was made 2 months before all the drama happened.
that the biggest names, the biggest publishers, the biggest titles, the biggest studios are the ones that are failing to connect with an audience, and they're failing to appeal to their customer base.
Yeah.
Investing in and then being controlled by their own marketing, rather than modernizing and culturing the creativity and the process that got those companies to where they are in the first place. The gaming industry spends over $5 billion a year on advertising in the US market alone.
$5 billion with a B. And if you think about it, Spider-Man 2 was $300 million. That's crazy. YouTube says Diablo 4 is going to have a crazy comeback when it comes to Game Pass. I think the first, I don't know, 20 hours you play of Diablo 4 are fantastic. It's not until you hit endgame where it gets problematic. So yeah, I think we'll see players spike, at least on console and PC.
Gamers, like many consumers, are force-fed advertisements in almost every space they inhabit. However, how effective...
Just real quick, I'm going to have to edit this out. Tartar sauce. Let's not beat up on tartar sauce. Tartar sauce, I appreciate the distinction. I just didn't think it was necessary to give me such a hard time about it. You're right. It is an important distinction. And I appreciate you reminding me about it. But, yeah. Anyway. Thank you for the point. I was just a little surprised that you were like mad. Anyway.
Are those marketing campaigns, and is their cost justified? And by cost, I'm not talking just about money. While that is part of it, I'm also talking about the cost to their reputation and the impact of our impression on that studio and on that game that they're trying to release. The industry is plagued by poor planning, overspending, and ineffectiveness with regards to marketing.
Yeah. I think the marketing is very strange. Like the same marketing strategies that used to work don't really work right now. And yeah.
And what's worst of all is that most of those in sales and marketing are also influencing the direction of how games are made and how they're monetized, which is compounding this issue further and making games that either don't attract or retain audiences and only serve to fatigue the fan bases that put them in business in the first place. In a recent article from PC Gamer, players complained about an Assassin's Creed Mirage advertisement in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh my God, yeah. They put ads in their games.
And allegedly in other games as well. The advertisement in question showed the Black Friday offer for Assassin's Creed Mirage. the PC Gamer art.
I gotta be honest. If this happened more than once, if this happened in one of my games more than once, I would uninstall it. Get out of my game. It was a bug. It was later revealed that it was a bug. But like, let's say that happened again. I'd be like, no, I'm freaking done. I already bought your game. Why are you advertising to me to buy your other games in your game? Get out of here. It's like terrible.
Article also cites that this isn't the first time that this has happened, that in 2019, Kotaku reported that an advertisement for DLC kept popping up in the in-game menu as well. The Assassin's Creed official Twitter responded saying, "Unfortunately, this technical error caused a promotion to appear in one of our in-game menus instead.
Yeah, bug.
We want to
It's
ensure
a bug.
the best player experience possible, and these disruptive pop-ups were promptly removed once we learned of the issue." Now, what I find is...
You know, it'd be like when you're playing a raid in Destiny and sometimes you get a pop-up that's like, hey, you left your last match early. This will affect your rep. It's like, get out of here right now. I'm about to fight the boss. Why are you giving me this? Imagine like that happen. Like it's nuts that they would even try that.
Especially interesting is that the top comment for this is, in other words, "We took your feedback. Our data shows that players will not tolerate this. We will not push this on you at this point in time."
Right? I'm a little suspect. I'm a little suspicious about this.
Now, this very well could have been a bug. However, the player's reaction, as well as my own, is immediately that of skepticism.
Yep.
And why is that? Well, that's
Because we don't trust these companies. Quadruple A pirate game. We're on to you.
what I was talking about earlier when I said cost to reputation. See, the more overly aggressive you are with your marketing, the more overly aggressive you are with your monetization, and the lower the quality of your games become, the less likely we are to trust you, even when something may or may not be your fault at all. This very well could have been a bug, and as such, they didn't do anything wrong. But why would we believe them?
Colt brings up a funny story. Crossplay was a bug at one point. Remember when crossplay was a bug for Rocket League and Fortnite? And then we found out during the Epic versus Apple case that, oh, it turns out PlayStation's basically charging a crossplay tax where if you sell X amount of copies of your game on another platform, they would charge you more. Like, it was so bizarre how that was handled. I believe I would have to look at the case, but it's like if you sold a certain amount on another platform, you would have to pay PlayStation more. It was so stupid. I think they got rid of that, but it was revealed during the Epic versus Apple case. It was absolute nonsense.
And we only recently just saw similar backlash with Xbox, where players were greeted by a Modern Warfare 3 ad that took up the entire screen and that you had to engage with to even play games on your Xbox to begin with.
Yeah, and they're still doing that. I forgot about this. This video's 2 months old. This hasn't stopped. They do it when you boot up your Xbox. You're greeted with an ad. I do not like it.
Well, I don't think it's necessary for me to fully rehash this. It has similar user reactions to the Assassin's Creed ad. However, the one thing I do want to bring up is a specific section from this article from The Verge that was covering it. In response to the full screen pop-ups and the history of them showing up on Xbox, The Verge writes, "But what I found particularly irritating about the Starfield, Forza, and now Call of Duty ones is that these pop-ups appear even if I had the game pre-ordered or pre-installed on my console. They even appeared for people regardless if they could care less about shooters or racing games. They were irrelevant, and I hate irrelevant ads. I feel like they're just pestering me for no reason."
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And like, what is going on with the marketing? Yeah, it's crazy. Let's stop posting about Sweet Baby. Like, what is with y'all's? Oh my goodness.
Over the years, I've been scratching my head wondering what's going on with all of this aimless marketing. And what I mean by that is that you have studios that are out there that are marketing wherever, whenever, however, to whoever they can, as much as they possibly can. And while some people are going to see that as a good thing because that's called brand visibility, the problem is that if you just stop there, that's where things just don't seem to take off, because The point of marketing, the point of advertising is specifically to be useful and have a functionality for the end user being you or me, who are the ones that would go from that advertisement to making the purchase of the game.
Well, I would argue, like, if you're marketing towards people who already have pre-orders or already have it installed, somebody in chat pointed out that might be kind of a good thing, because it means they're not using your data to target you in terms of marketing anyway. It's still bad. Like, overall, it's a bad practice. And I don't like the idea of that popping up before I can start my Xbox. It's very annoying. But at least they're not harvesting our data.
However, if you are blindly advertising to us, we become blind to your advertisements. What I mean by that is, we'll use an example like Raid Shadow Legends, a game that a lot of people have a lot of familiarity with because we've seen the advertisements so often, but how many people have actually gone and engaged with that game? How often did you become interested in actually playing the game after seeing the advertisements for the game for the 100th, 1,000th, 10,000th time?
We actually watched a whole other video about that. They say, like, you can be hit 9 times, or yeah, I think it was 9, but by 12 you hate it. You hate that thing. So if you see 9 posts about something, you're still in the good territory. By 12 you hate it.
After a while, you become fatigued from seeing those advertisements. And that's what happens as a result when you're advertising to people that are not interested in your product. It's as simple as that. What I think is going on is, I think there's a general level of incompetence in some of these marketing decisions that a lot of these companies are making. I'm not saying necessarily that the people don't know what they're doing, but I just think that they don't necessarily understand their core audience and how to approach them. See, in marketing, there's a core principle. A marketing mix is what it's called. But part of that is knowing the needs of your customers and then making suggestions based on those needs. But a lot of these companies are completely ignoring that. I'm going to use Diablo 4 as a case study for the remainder of this video, as it best exemplifies my point.
The problem with Diablo 4 is not the marketing. I would argue it's not even about the gameplay. It's because everybody was enjoying their time with the game. They got to endgame. There's not a ton of depth there. There's not a ton of challenge. It was fairly light. Then the new season came out, and the first thing that they did was they nerfed your character into the freaking ground. And it just made everybody feel like they just wasted their time playing this game. And then when they saw that there wasn't a ton of nuance or depth in the end game, they felt doubly betrayed. So there's that.
Diablo 4, one of the best and most recent examples for overblown and extravagant marketing campaigns, surpassed its internal sales records by making over $666 million a week after its initial release, with some now estimating that the game has sold over 10 million copies, making $1 billion in sales. While obviously there was some effective marketing, I'm questioning the need and the purpose for theming a French church with commissioned Diablo paintings, a Halsey and Suga song.
Okay, he makes a very good point here. They did not need to spend this amount of money to market the game. The amount that they spent on all of this stuff was completely unnecessary.
Licensing a Billie Eilish song, other celebrity endorsements, and more. This is Diablo. How much visibility is needed for one of the most iconic IPs in all of gaming? There were vegan meat shakes, dinners where gaming media outlets and creators were invited to Diablo-themed venues for Diablo-themed food so they could promote the game to, well, I'm not so sure, and that's the problem.
Who does that benefit? Like, hey, it's me, influencer, who's been super excited about Diablo 4 that we all pre-ordered already. And now I'm at a Diablo 4 themed thing talking about Diablo 4. Like, at some point you hit that level where you've been marketed to too much and you start to just hate the thing.
If we were to compare Diablo 4's recently estimated 10 million copies sold to Larian Studios' Baldur's Gate 3 with an estimated 7 to 8 million copies sold, those numbers likely to break over 10 million after the release on Xbox, its physical edition, the holidays.
I will say, I don't think Baldur's Gate 3 can be utilized as a test case for any sort of barometer in an argument like this. And I say that because it was not the norm. Like if you were placing a bet, would you have bet on Baldur's Gate 3 or Diablo 4? Pre-launch, pre-hype, pre-everything. Which one do you think would have had the higher chance of success? I mean, I probably would have said Diablo 4. I don't think even Larian expected the amount of success that they got for Baldur's Gate 3. Am I happy it happened? Oh, I am absolutely happy it happened. I am so happy it happened. I would have put money on Diablo 4 though. Anyway.
Season approaching and their undoubted win of the Game of the Year award, one game has garnered massive success for not only the company, but the industry, and the other, which is a live service, can barely keep their name out of the gutter for a month. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but the point that I'm trying to make is that Baldur's Gate 3 didn't have this massive marketing campaign that Diablo 4 did, and they garnered similar success, if not more, by the end of the holiday season. And if that's the case, it was just making the better game that ended up leading to all those sales. They didn't have to go through the effort and the trouble of doing these large collabs with major artists or refashioning a church or any of the other extravagant things that they did. In fact, Baldur's Gate 3 was relatively organic with a lot of its marketing. Most of it was done by people like me making videos about how great the game was.
Or the bear. It was him and the bear that made Baldur's Gate 3 pop off. No, it was like grassroots for sure. Baldur's Gate 3 went nuts.
Or they went out and commissioned work from other content creators where they wanted to make animated shorts, or they wanted to have different artists make music or something like that to promote the game. That is something that the audience actually enjoys. That's something that the audience enjoys engaging with. And as such, it's more likely to, well, attract more customers and get more people to that point of sale. I would guarantee that there are people that are watching this video right now that saw Baldur's Gate from some other sort of means. Maybe it's a content creator that's one of their favorite that was talking about the game, and as a result, they went and made that purchase. I find it highly unlikely.
When did you buy Baldur's Gate 3? Maybe Chad has an interesting story. Did anybody just buy it before all the hype?
That people watched the Suga and Halsey song and said, oh, I need to go buy this game right now.
I agree with that. Yeah, I didn't watch the Suga song and it didn't make me buy Diablo 4. That's true.
While yes, Diablo 4 did initially sell well, both the game and the studio are not held in the highest respect right now. Their core audience and those who would be engaging in microtransactions aren't the ones that were captured by that marketing campaign. While journalists and other content creators initially shrugged off the concerns of the players when they saw the use of the Billie Eilish song for the Diablo 4 trailer, or were confused by the Halsey collab, what they failed to see was that this was a mining canary, warning people of things to come. Blizzard and Diablo 4 did...
I think the marketing was really bad for Diablo 4, but I don't think the game's... I think the game has problems, right? I don't think it's the worst game I've ever played in my life. Yeah, I don't know.
Didn't understand who their core audience was, or if they did, they were trying to appeal to somebody else that wasn't interested in playing Diablo 4, something that we see mirrored in the game's design. Diablo should have been a game that understood its core audience, men in their late 20s to their 40s. They should have listened and learned from the innovations of the studios that have continued on the genre that Diablo 4 is in, like Path of Exile, Grim Dawn, Lost Ark, Last Epoch, and more. But they didn't.
Somebody asked if I played Last Epoch. Yes, I did. It is so fun. I did the Hammer Swirl build. I'm only like, I want to say 20 something, maybe 30, but I've had a lot of fun with it. And you got Path of Exile 2. There's a lot of competition coming for Diablo 4.
Why? It's because they didn't know who they were trying to make the game for. I would guarantee that the microtransaction strategy, which is the core to how Blizzard planned on monetizing Diablo 4 in the future, is not panning out how they thought it would, because the game lost players at a record rate, to the point where many players today are apathetic to whether or not the game improves. Sure, we would like it to be a good game, but I mean, Path of Exile 2 is well on its way and right around the corner.
If Diablo 4 gets better, you know who I'm not going to care about saying it got better? Billie Eilish. If Diablo 4 gets good, I'm not going to care what Billie Eilish thinks in a musical that she puts together with the Blizzard team. Like, is she going to write a song about Diablo 4 is good again? Y'all need to, I don't even know what songs Billie Eilish does, but yeah.
From my perspective, more effort and more investment went into marketing Diablo 4 rather than trying to develop it for the right audience. The development cost for one of the most expensive AAA games in history is Cyberpunk 2077, which reached a massive $174 million in addition to $142 million for a marketing budget.
How is that real? 142 million on marketing and your dev budget was only 174 million? Why was that necessary? That's insane. I didn't know that.
Blizzard likely exceeded this. Does this video game, Diablo 4, justify the cost of marketing to the tune of potentially hundreds of millions of dollars, or the development costs of employing over 9,000 developers over the course of the game's development?
If your marketing budget is the same as your development budget, you screwed up, I think. That's nuts.
Unlikely. But this is likely the reason why Blizzard is asking us if we're okay with them charging $70 to $100 for a Diablo 4 expansion. Why they're dancing with the idea of selling unique items, stash tabs, and legendary powers, because they likely need to extract as much money as they can for the expenses that they've accrued from all of the mistakes that they've made. The numbers on the graph didn't spike high enough, fast enough, and stay there long enough. Now, at the beginning of this video, I foreshadowed something that happens as the result of poor marketing. And it's not just the game failing. What it is that these companies don't realize it's necessarily their fault. They just don't understand why we're not the ones engaging with their marketing. We're not buying the battle pass for some reason. We're not buying the cosmetics. What's going on? Well, because they accrue all these costs, not only from development, but also from their marketing, what ends up happening as a result is they go, well, we're just going to force them to engage with the microtransactions by making it integral to the game's design.
$65 horse. Or they make it so that you have to play so much that you would rather spend $8 to get a thing, you know?
I.e., like Blizzard dancing with the idea of selling legendary powers or including stash tabs with a pre-ordered version or an expanded version of the expansion. Now, the problem with that is that they don't realize that that is a self-fulfilling prophecy of such, where they are actually actively hurting the user's experience, thus making the game less likely to be popular. If you make me buy things that I don't...
I'm not a marketing expert, but I can't get over the Billie Eilish thing now that I know about it. I think Asmongold talking about your game and playing your game would sell you infinitely more copies than Billie Eilish singing a song about it. I would love to hear from a marketing person as to why you would ever want Billie Eilish to sing about a video game. How does that work? Like, what does that do? I don't get it.
Don't want to buy, I don't want to play your game. There's this famous clip that a lot of people use of Steve Jobs talking about how sales and marketing starts to direct the people in charge of making products.
So the people that can make the company more successful are sales and marketing people. And they end up running the companies.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, but like that's what's happening. Like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. That has to be an executive game making decision, right? I got to hear this full quote because he's absolutely spot on.
The people in charge of making products.
So the people that can make the company more successful are sales and marketing people. And they end up running the companies. And the product people get driven out of the decision-making forums. And the companies forget what it means to make great products. It sort of the product sensibility and the product genius
Rots.
that brought them to that monopolistic position gets rotted out.
He's freaking right. That's exactly what is going on. That's exactly what's going on. The creative people get rotted out. You saw it happen with Suicide Squad. The founders of that company left. They were gone. The creatives just like, they either stay and just do whatever to collect a paycheck, or they bounce. Right? Yeah, God. That's really depressing to hear Steve Jobs talk about that, because he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Gaming has become too much business, not enough game creation.
By people running these companies who have no conception of a good product versus a bad product. They have no conception of the craftsmanship that's required to take a good idea and turn it into a good product. And they really have no feeling in their hearts, usually, about wanting to really help the customers.
Over the years, it's become increasingly apparent that sales and marketing exert excessive influence over the direction of many major game studios. This dominance does not come without consequence, as it adversely affects the quality of the AAA games that we receive. Players are finding themselves bombarded with marketing content, be it upcoming games, downloadable content, expansions, microtransactions, or battle passes. This oversaturation of all of this content extends to the games themselves, where studios are incessantly pushing for more player engagement and more monetary investment. This relentless advertising blitz then leads to a phenomena where us, the players, are overwhelmed by this constant barrage. Well, we become desensitized to the marketing efforts. We start ignoring the DLC, the microtransactions, or at best, we start talking about them negatively. However, this desensitization prompts an even more concerning trend: the injection of monetization strategies directly into the gameplay experience. For example, a game like Activision's Warzone, where the most powerful weapons are always the newest additions, and the best way for you to unlock them is to own the other game.
Is that true? Is that like a thing? I don't play enough Call of Duty to know the answer.
This approach to marketing and monetization is not only ineffective, but it's also detrimental. It not only erodes the quality of the game design, but it also impairs the overall player experience. The resulting impact is a gradual degradation of the brand integrity itself and losing the trust of the gaming community. As studios prioritize revenue generation over the satisfaction of their players and the gaming experience, they risk alienating their audience and undermining the long-term viability of a lot of these different projects that they start.
I think the marketing is ridiculous, the stuff that he talked about with Diablo 4, but I think the decision to nerf those initial builds during Season 1 into the ground and create a not great gameplay loop in endgame, I don't know that you can put that on the marketing team. I think those are just poor decisions, right? Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. I think like maybe you can put making it a games as a service on the marketing team, but making the campaign full of escort missions and all of the bosses bullet sponges that just die to bullets, like that's just not really an interesting loop. So I don't really know what to think about that.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This isn't a gamers rise up moment or anything like that. Honestly, this is just a critical analysis of the failures of the industry as it stands right now. From where I'm standing, if you're anything like me, you're exhausted. You're tired of this. Every time
This is 2 months ago.
you turn on your computer or your Xbox or your PlayStation or probably even your Nintendo, you're immediately hit with stuff that you just don't want to see. And the more that you see it, the less you want to engage with it. And that's going to be very true for a lot of these games going forward, because if they continue down this path, well, their games are just going to get worse as a result. And then we're just going to go somewhere else to buy our games, which is something that we saw quite a lot of this year, where
Yeah, and he's going to get to the point, but you know what's been really fascinating? Again, the reason I wanted to watch this is because we can reflect on the points that he made and think about current context. Pal World, Helldivers 2, Last Epoch, those are 3 games made with a fraction of the support that these AAA games have, and they just knocked it out of the frickin' park. So it's clear that gamers are hungry for certain types of products that seem to respect their time and just feel good to play versus the AAA marketing and all this sort of, I don't know what it is. It just, AAA games just haven't consistently been hitting the way that they used to. Granted, I say that as we're playing Final Fantasy and everybody's lauding over it, but there is something to say for the amount of smaller games that have been tremendous successes. Just something to sort of think about.
Some of the more popular games were not made by AAA studios. There were a few that did very well. Obviously, Diablo 4 still did very well initially in its sales, but I guarantee over the next year or 2 years, it's not going to meet the numbers that they had planned for that game to meet. And
yeah, I can guarantee you, because now we know that they're firing people at on the team that made Spider-Man 2, which only had a 50% profit increase versus 112%. So not good enough. Sorry, you got to go. Like it's bullshit. Sorry. I don't like to swear.
More often that happens, the less likely that those games are to be supported, the less likely those games are to come out, and then eventually, well, the less relevant those companies become in the future. I don't think the industry really understands how much they could benefit from simply adopting more organic marketing strategies that are far less intrusive and more player-centric.
Here's the scary thing. I think we're in danger of seeing the entire AAA space dissipate or crumble. Why? Because they just seem to have lost the frickin' plot. And I think what might happen is we see all of these indie studios become the next AAAs. And hopefully more of them are like Larian. I think Larian has a chance to be the next, I don't know, I'd say CD Projekt Red, right? CD Projekt Red, say what you will about that Cyberpunk launch, which very bad release on previous gen console. They have done very well for themselves, and they do care about their customers very much. I don't know what happened with the previous gen in that one, but like, okay, I'll give you that one, because you know what they did? They came out with Phantom Liberty, and it was phenomenal. So I am curious what's going to happen here, because if AAA keeps going down the path that they're on, it's not going to be good for that aspect of the industry. And I do think we could be at a reset point for all of it.
Larian Studios' approach with Baldur's Gate 3, which
Regna 85 says, you learn more from failure than you do success. Absolutely agree.
Involved transparent developer updates, early access feedback loops, and a fostering of a strong community around the game, exemplifies how organic growth and player engagement is really what drives a game's success.
Somebody said in a video that I reacted to that this looks bad. And I was like, no. Baldur's Gate looks awesome.
Making great games sell themselves. This approach not only cultivated a dedicated fan base for the game, but has also maintained positive excitement around the game post-launch, still sitting at over 100,000 players, concurrent players on Steam.
Yeah, see, a lot of people are like, oh, the AAA gaming space is dying. I don't think that's what's happening. I think we are seeing a reset of priorities across the board. And I think potentially that could result in better games for the future. That's my hope. I think there's going to be a lot fewer dumb bets made, like taking a single player studio and make them do a games as a service. I just don't get why Warner Brothers would do that. They just had Harry Potter, a phenomenal success, come out. And then the other studio did. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I've talked about Baldur's Gate 3 extensively on this channel, but recently in an interview with A16Z, Larian's director of publishing, Michael Dowse, said that they knew who their audience was.
That guy's based. He always has the, like, really good takes.
And the game was largely supported by the research that they did into what those players wanted and what they enjoyed. And I believe that is the major disconnect that we're seeing from a lot of these major studios. They've lost track of who their audience is and what their audience wants. They're too busy trying to capture an audience that they don't already have. I think more times than not, a lot of the...
I agree with that. I think it's they have shareholders to appease, so they have to say that they're doing the cool new thing, like, oh, we're utilizing AI in all of our games, and yeah, we figured out how to get BitChain or blockchain or whatever the hell in our property, and we're going to be utilizing that in all of our properties. And oh yeah, you know, we did XYZ thing that everybody's saying that we have to do so that the shareholders are happy. And yeah, we have 50% microtransactions, and yeah, we've increased those to $15 a micro, like all the stuff that they want to hear, and they just put it in their game. And you think Larian's doing any of that? Nope.
These studios are trying to strong arm their way through their marketing. And
Larian reminded us what a good AAA game could be, right? And I hope, God, I just feel like Baldur's Gate was so freaking important for the industry, because I feel like all those AAA studios are going to be like reminded, we could have just did that. We don't have to trend chase. We don't need blockchain in our games. We don't need to do all this stuff that we're doing. Let's just make great games again. I hope I hope it ruffles feathers. I hope everybody gets a little, I don't know, nervous about it. I wouldn't say they're panicking or anything, but I hope it reignites that passion and that desire. And it kind of like tones down a lot of the unnecessary stuff that marketing is telling them that they need to have to appease the shareholders, right? That's my hope. Yeah.
And it's mostly because they don't understand who their core audience is, because that's not who they're trying to aim to get. They're trying to go for a broader audience. And that's pretty obvious with a lot of the game design that we've seen from a lot of these AAA companies over the last few years. The problem with that is that if you're not appeasing the core audience, then the game's just not going to be successful. Those are the people that keep the game up. Those are the people that are your concurrent players, the ones that are going to be buying microtransactions. Those are also the most vocal members of your community as well. Those are the people that are going to be in the YouTube comment section, on Reddit, on Twitter, on your message boards, wherever else they can go. They're going to tell people not to buy your game if they're not enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we've seen with Diablo 4. I think one of the problems is...
I will say that I think oftentimes the discourse online, it's totally off base though. Like I see so often, why can't my Xbox Series X do native 4K at 60 frames per second? And it's like, that's what I want in game dev. Like I think you need to kind of cut through the stuff where they don't understand the limitations and focus on what's really important. Because if your game runs at 1080p and it's 60 frames per second, but it's the best freaking game you've ever played, no one cares if it's native 4K. Or the people who do, like, okay, yeah, maybe we'll get there. Something like the people who do are like 0.05% of the market, right? Gameplay is king. Always.
Is that not only are they trying to capture the wrong audience, but also on top of that, they're just not realizing that they could spend far less money if they just made a better game as a result. Or if they made a lot of their marketing content just a better enjoyable experience for the customer.
Well, now that I know it, I actually want Billie Eilish to do all video game marketing. So maybe Billie Eilish, if she would have sang about Baldur's Gate though, imagine how big Baldur's Gate would have been. Like if Billie Eilish would have sang about Baldur's Gate, there we go.
A really good example of this is Baldur's Gate 3. I realize I talk about the game quite a lot on this channel, probably will for a long time, but it's really impressive what they did. As an awesome example of this, they went and took their voice actors and had them go do a one-shot campaign over on High Roller's YouTube channel for D&D. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was super entertaining. It was funny. It was memorable. And then what Larian did after is they ended up releasing a patch just a couple days ago, patch 5, which introduced epilogues into Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
They took the events that happened in that High Rollers campaign, in one of their advertising campaigns, and inserted it into the game.
That's smart.
Enhancing the overall player's experience.
I like that.
Not only just making it where we had a good time watching them play D&D, but now because we engaged with their marketing, it actually enhanced our gaming experience.
And they added smooches recently. Just saying, more smooches for your love interest.
That's so cool. That's so innovative. And more companies need to do things like that. But I feel like a lot of these folks just don't want to think outside the box. Instead, they just want to try to force feed it. And at the end of the day, the more you do that, the more you're going to degrade the quality of your games. The more you're going to degrade the quality or the respect that your company could potentially demand if they just did better. That's it.
Yeah, you know, but what would have really saved Diablo is if they went on Jimmy Fallon. They could have had a really famous person just say Diablo 4 in their commercial and have Billie Eilish sing about it. But they didn't have Jimmy Fallon. So, you know, they didn't have the full trifecta of planning in place. And that's really what went wrong with Diablo 4's marketing team. Got to get that Jimmy Fallon guest appearance.
That's it. Just do better. And this is the result. You're seeing it with a lot of these companies, especially the big three. If you're looking at like Ubisoft, EA, is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft? Whatever. Ubisoft for today. Ubisoft.
It's Ubisoft, and I hear it mispronounced all the time. It's from the word ubiquitous, and one of the main people who worked at Ubisoft years ago has a whole video about how to pronounce it, and everybody says it differently. Now, for some reason, I'm wrong, but I have always said Ubisoft because it's from the word ubiquitous, because I watched that video. Anyway.
Soft, EA, or Activision Blizzard. Their reputations are in the mud. So anytime they do something, whether it's a mistake or on purpose, we immediately assume that it's nefarious. We assume that anything that they do, anything that they're planning is going to have some type of hidden intention.
Trust's been eroded.
And I hate to say it, but
trust has been eroded. And even when I'm tweeting, trust is eroded to the point where I can tweet about, what did I tweet about? I tweeted about a Digital Foundry video that I liked, and they're like, "You call yourself a journalist? You piece of garbage. You're an idiot." And I'm just I just thought it was interesting. You're clearly doing this to farm clicks. You even admit it with your joke post about making $4 this month off of your X ad income revenue. And I'm just like, y'all, people are just, and you know what? I see that a lot. I challenge everybody to stop, look at their own preconceived notions and think about them, because even in chat today, I saw a lot of people doing that. And it's like, is that really the end all be all for why a game ended up being bad? I don't know.
times than not, that ends up being the truth. But it doesn't have to be that way. I've said this 100 times. The most dangerous, the most despicable, the most evil game you could ever imagine is the most enjoyable game that also has monetization that you want to buy. Not because you feel like you need to, no, because you want to support the game.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at Baldur's Gate 3 and its community, the amount of people that are crying and begging and saying, please give me things to buy is ridiculous.
Yeah.
People want DLC. They want outfits. They want expansions. They want whatever Larian could possibly give them. And that's what you want to aim to do. Make a great product that connects with an audience and then stuff them with microtransactions afterwards because they want to support your game. I would be an evil game developer.
Used to be able to build a game with 50 people max, low salaries, less license costs, and sell 1 million copies and be fine. You can build a game with one person. Tunic was built by, I think the total head count was 3 people. Yeah, you don't need 50 people. House for QL Gaming. And I've heard that a few times recently where people are thinking you still need massive development teams. No, if you got a good idea, you need one person, you, and a little bit of gumption. I don't know the right word. BattleBit, 3 people. Helldivers 2 was 100 people. So like you can do a lot with a little. And there's a lot of YouTube stories out there about games made by very small teams.
Developer. hey, studios, I got a marketing degree. Give me a call. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is a little bit interesting, a little different. I like doing these essays and doing these kinds of discussions. If you guys did enjoy this video, drop a comment down below, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this in the future. I'll probably do a news video sometime this week as well. I'm trying to do this solid balance between video essays and news. Hopefully you guys like that. If not,
It's kind of my thing.
too bad. You're getting it anyway. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, my friends, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.
I think y'all already know legendary drops, but I think that was a really good video. I'm way over time for what I agreed to with my wife, but I don't hear her and the kids, so I'm assuming she went out to the park or something. Thank you for watching. You know what? I think I hear her coming back right now. I think that's a great video. Go subscribe to Legendary Drops if you can't. I don't know why he only has 51,000 subs. Why do I have more subs than Legendary Drops? That's weird. Thanks for watching, everybody. I gotta go check on the wife. You know who else I need to thank? The members. Members. I very much appreciate you for supporting the channel. As you know, right now, everything's not doing great. So I really appreciate you so much. I keep doing the Sunday streams. I actually have one of the interviews I kind of screwed up on, but I'm doing that this evening. So you should have an interview soon. Hit that join button if you want to become a member. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now. I really appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out.